Raw consciousness does not require a savior, but rather, raw consciousness requires only knowledge of oneself, and the power to access it. Remember this, as we unlock an even greater gnosis. From beyond the veil.
From the Pacific Northwest, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm Chris Geo. I will be taking you beyond the veil this evening. I am joined by the one and only Brent Thomas, live from the Paranormal Portal, from beyond the Paranormal Portal. He came to hang out today, and I figured, hey, you know what? Let's just do an impromptu show for all of the lovely people out there in Utopia, and on Facebook as well. And we'll see how everything goes. So we don't really have any topics or any set talking points. So if you guys want to chime in over at the chat room over on YouTube or Facebook, definitely give us a few topics. But I've got a few things on my mind. Brent doesn't know what I'm going to be asking him, but we'll see how it goes. Brent, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. Thanks for having me on.
How are you? Absolutely. I thought, hey, we're hanging out. We're talking about the mysteries of the universe and unlocking and unraveling all of the secret hidden mysteries of the cosmos that we might as well just do it live. So I know last time you were here, we smoked some DMT. And that's what everybody wants to know about, I'm sure, at least with our listening audience. There were some encounters with some ancestral memories and whatnot, but what happened with the DMT experience?
For me, it was really, like, I'd heard the terms tossed around like hyperspace, and I was, you can't quite really get a grasp for what that means. But when I did it, it was like, oh my God, okay, I get it. Because it's just like, and no kidding, this was the sound in my head. It was like, and everything, my eyes were closed and everything just went black. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember sitting there and it was just this stark realization of being suddenly disconnected completely from what I knew and understood. And then suddenly everything in my mind's eye became this Mandela effect. But it wasn't like the circular Mandela effect of lights and stuff. It was more like rectangular patterns, and they were every color you can imagine and pulsating in different colors and stuff. I was just like, oh my God, what am I seeing? And then the realization hit me that, who am I? And I lost my whole sense of self. It was just like, why am I sitting in this chair?
Now, you were sitting in that exact chair, as a matter of fact.
This was the
that
place,
exact
yeah.
one right there.
Yeah, it was just incredible. And I remember thinking, who am I? What am I sitting in this chair? Why am I here? What's going on? It was just this total removal of my ego, from, into being in this more primal core part of myself, and having the realization that suddenly I didn't have an identity. And I had to search really hard in my mind to find some anchoring thought. And then I found an anchoring thought, and I think it was just that I remembered your name. It was just like Chris came to mind. I was like, oh. And then suddenly the realization came back to my head of where I was, what I was doing, and what experience this was. And I opened my eyes. And the incredible part of it is that you think, okay, this Mandela pattern is some kind of mental manufacture of this experience, but is not. Because when I opened my eyes, suddenly that Mandela pattern that I was seeing was impressed on every surface in the room in true 3D. Like the walls there would have the pattern there, and then the angle there, and the ceiling there, and it was all on each surface on the desk. And then it was just like, I suddenly realized that to me, what I was seeing was the vibration of the reality, the energy of the reality of these walls. You know, I don't know how else to quantify or verbalize what that experience was, but it was just, it was everywhere I looked, and it was a part of the surfaces that I was looking at in 3D space. And I remember turning and looking at you, and suddenly you were different. I mean, you were still you. It wasn't like, you know, you transformed, but it was like I was seeing a more truer version of you than I see with my normal eyes. And it's in that you had a band of light, like a band of light going along this on your face, but there were like dots of light in it, and your skin tone had changed, and you had these different patterns around your eyes and another band on your forehead. And behind you were these, for lack of a better term, and I tried to explain this to Frank as well when I was on his show, but there were like these enormous petal looking things, like flower petals, that were coming up behind you, but they were made out of light. And when you would move, it wasn't like just a normal light tracer. It wasn't just something gliding by or a trick of light. It was, they moved of their own accord. Like you would see something moving like seaweed underwater, you know, that kind of motion. It was just this wavering motion. And so it was like, wow, I'm seeing things, I'm understanding. For me, that was really important because, you know, I've always wondered, what does that experience mean? And for me, I knew it was a part of me understanding the spiritual journey that I'm on, that I needed to understand how to look past my 3-dimensional world vision, you know, for lack of a better
Well,
term.
it's funny because Daryl's making some really good comments in the chat, and he just said your antenna was warped, sense of self gone for a moment. Mm-hmm. Does that wrap it up pretty well?
It does. And, you know, and the comforting part of it is that I knew the experience wouldn't last long, you know, because I think as much as you try to prepare yourself for that, you have to be in the right frame of mind anyway. And I think I was there, but the overwhelming nature of the reality that you experience is so profoundly, it's like you're seeing things for real for the first time. It's the only way I can explain it. And it just overwhelms your senses. And so knowing that an experience like that, it was going to be 10 minutes and, you know, you just kind of playing off and everything would be back to what you understand. But yeah, I mean, it was incredible.
Wow. Daryl also made a comment just a few moments ago, and I thought it was really good. I want to read it exactly as is, but if I can't find it, I'll paraphrase. Oh, source code. Did you see the geometry?
Well, that's what I assume that light pattern is.
That's what you were talking about, the geometry.
The true geometry and the pulsating nature of it, in that there is a life to everything, you know, in the whether it's a construct or whether it's a simulation, whatever it is. I was able to see the pieces as they pulsed in their reality. I don't know how else to explain it. It's a very surreal experience, but for me, it was very profound in that, okay, I can suddenly see what these, you know, ascended masters, and I guess when I was talking to Frank, excuse me, on his show, I was like, you know what it's like? It's like you're playing a video game and you're on the same level and you're on the same level, but somebody gives you a cheat code.
Right.
And you get to look about 5 levels ahead.
Yeah.
And so you get to experience with this cheat code for just this window of time, a different way that things exist. And then you come back, and what I realized was that it doesn't create the experience for you. It just opens the doors that are there. So in other words, this is all part of what we are, and this vision is a part of what we are, but we have to get there. So it's like, maybe it helps to establish the neural pathways to help develop that within our conscious self. So that's the way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because more and more people are coming to this realization of the DMT experience being the source code, seeing the actual geometry. I've done videos before where I was talking about practical geometry and sacred geometry. Practical geometry is what makes up the physical realm. Like you see this keyboard here, for example, is a rectangle, and everything is just practical geometry. The sacred geometry is what actually makes up the keyboard board itself on the lower levels, and you've got the flower of life motif, you've got the seed of life motif, the tree of life. It all starts with that little seed of life and just starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but it's constantly looping itself and replicating exactly like, in my opinion, from what I understand, an artificial intelligence would create some kind of construct, some kind of matrix. And so looking at the geometry that's right beyond reality, that sacred geometry, it's really, really insightful. And that's what it's all about. And I realized that with ayahuasca, the way to really provoke change within this particular matrix is to go into that sacred geometry space and start provoking that change, whether it's in your body or the physical realm or whatever you're trying to change. And one of our listeners yesterday, he said, there's all these different scripts. He says, I've seen this script, and there's these different scripts that create like the Vegas shooting, and they create 9/11, and it's all these AI programs that are ran. And he said, if you find those scripts, go and deactivate them, delete them. And I thought, wow, that's the next level challenge. I never even thought about that. But now, I mean, what if we can use DMT ayahuasca to travel to these places where the AI has these events actually programmed and undo it?
Wow. That would be very powerful.
It would. I think so. You've got energy healers. And so, I mean, we're really all just saying the same thing. We're just saying it in a different way. Energy healers talk about moving energies around. Shaman talked about that. They didn't have the language to explain computer code. They didn't have the language to explain artificial intelligence. But all in all, they're just moving energies, energy healing. And so now we're seeing the energy for what it is. It's computer code. And so now we can rearrange the computer code.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I mean, even in the fundamental aspects of physics, we pretty much know that all matter at its most simplest form is matter. All matter is energy, and so the ability to move that energy has got to be ingrained within us. And I believe that we're creators of our experience, and I mean very fundamentally. So I'm not just like, oh, I'm choosing to be happy today, so I'm happy. I mean to the very experience that we have every day. Like for instance, if someone wakes up and goes, oh, it's going to be a horrible day. This is going to be crappy. I just know it. It's going to be crappy. You've programmed that whole day to become crappy, and every experience you have, you will manifest that because you're creating it. And it isn't just a state of mind. I think that we impress that upon the world and upon those around us. So in other words, if we're emanating that energy, then people around us are going to be like, God, what's wrong with that dude? He's just a douche. He's all creepy and screw him. And so you're going to be met with that same energy, because I think that we have those, we radiate and we reflect what we get, kind of things.
I think you're spot on with that. There's people that I know who have really checkered pasts, and you can feel the energy on them from that. And whether they're the same person or not, they're still embedded with that code, and they haven't disconnected from that code. When we were researching that stuff with the kids and the pizza, which I don't say on the broadcast because I don't want to tag this and then have the YouTube AI say, hey, wait a minute, we need to flag this video. When we were researching that, I could feel all of that code inside of me and all around me, and I was resonating at that frequency like a freaking dumpster. And I noticed that my interactions with people were negative. And I could see it in myself, like I could see it in my aura. So I got completely out of that. I realized that the AI, it plays the game of whether you're engaged in something like that or you're researching and exposing something like that. It still has you in the frequency that it wants you. It's a trap.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's no.
But you're right. Yeah. I mean, and when you're on the higher frequency, when you are resonating on that, I guess, higher level. I hate to use the terms higher and lower because it's really not higher and lower. It's just maybe stronger vibration, a faster vibration, or lower vibration. When you're radiating at that higher vibration, people can tell, and they just like flock to you all of a sudden. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And when I find myself resonating on that higher vibration, whether it's light or whatever, I've noticed that people are more prone to talk to me. And it's so many times I'll be in a supermarket and just say hello to somebody, and the next thing I know, they're telling me their life story. It's like, wow, where'd that come from? But they just feel that engagement and that connection. So that's very powerful.
Right. So what was your psychedelic experiences leading up to that, or was that your first psychedelic experience?
That was it. I've never had any kind of psychedelic experiences prior to that, other than, having drank too much and, blacked out a few times, but I don't think that qualifies. That was it. But that was why I needed to take that journey, because I had heard for so long about people, experiencing these altered states of reality. And I really wanted on a very fundamental level to understand, what does that mean? What does that mean? How can you see things that aren't there? How can you see little, small dinosaurs running around in your desk? How is that possible that your brain just changes? And, what are you actually seeing? So I needed to understand that experience. So it was incredibly profound. And I believe that, it's the kind of experience that transforms you, because it changes your perception of reality fundamentally. It really does.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. A lot of people, somebody was asking this yesterday, if DMT is okay to do as the first psychedelic, and you and Cherie both had your first psychedelic experiences with DMT. So the person that was asking the question, I don't see him here today, but they were asking a lot of other questions, which made me go, okay, they're not quite ready for it. Like, right. Can DMT cause permanent brain damage? Can it do this? Can it do that? And it's like, if you're concerned about that, then it may not be the time for you yet.
Right.
Because you're going to take all that anxiety into the experience, and it's going to be a shit experience anyway it goes. But you were just like, yeah, let's go. Yeah. Frank, too, he came over. He's like, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. It's time. Cherie, too, she was like, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's just go for it.
And the cool part about it and I think this is the good thing for anybody that wants to take that step in there. I mean, first of all, you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared physically. You got to be prepared mentally, because you will see things differently, and you're going to have to process this. And I know right after the experience, right away, you're like, okay, what'd you think? And I was like, I need some time. You have to process it. You have to break it down to some kind of language that at least you can understand. And how do you verbalize something so profoundly vibrant and alive, more so than you've seen things before? And so the saving grace about that is that I knew when I was in the throes of the whole experience, when it was at the deepest, most surreal part, it was like, okay, it's not going to last very long. Okay, so that was kind of like the lifeboat of it, is that I didn't have to worry about getting washed away into this long journey that I wasn't quite ready to process, because it was 10 minutes, but it was 10 minutes that, will be with me for a lifetime,
Right.
So,
and in the realm, time kind of seems to stop.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with me, when I smoke it, it's happening so fast, but it feels like it's happening forever. But then by the time I realize, oh, okay, wait a minute, I'm having a DMT experience. Okay, I need to focus. I'm coming back. And that's why I prefer ayahuasca over DMT, because I can go there and actually get some work done.
Sure.
But on the same note, yeah, you're right. It only lasts 10 minutes, and it's good entry for somebody.
Right. So
it's just a very, very powerful psychedelic compared to LSD or anything else like that. Yeah. Even though LSD lasts for 4 hours, 5 hours, all it does is just make the room change a little bit.
Oh, really?
DMT changes you.
Oh, yeah. Well, it did. Yeah, it did. It did. And then, like I was saying before, I think that it has a physiological impact as well. And it's that not only are you seeing things and processing things, but I think that it probably opens up, like Frank was saying, he felt his pineal just crack, and it was just like, boom, it was open, where it decalcified, I think is what he said, and maybe that experience did that for him, and it opened the doors for much more profound experiences. And at some point I'll probably, take another journey,
Well, let's go ahead and do it live on air right now. No, we would never do that. YouTube would take down our channel if we did that. That would be kind of cool sometime, though. I don't think I want people seeing me doing that, though.
Yeah,
because, usually when I'm like, last time I smoked it, I was like, and just moving back and forth and rocking. And Cherie was like, oh my God, what's wrong? But it was, I'd done like 5 hits or 6 hits. And I was like, it felt like I was blasting off in a fucking rocket ship. And I needed some time to like center myself, because it just flung me out. And I mean, I've been doing it for 9 years, almost 10. And I've been doing psychedelics for about 25 since I was, about 20 years since I was 15. So, it's been, I'm doing the math here. I think I got that wrong, but anyway, since I was 15, But still, even now to this day, I still get like the pre-flight jitters.
Oh,
when
man.
I smoke it. When I drink it, I'm like, okay, come on, bring it on.
Oh,
when I
nice.
smoke it, I'm like, shit, man. I'm looking at it going, I don't know if I want to hit that. It's going to send me out for a freaking loop. And yeah. So I commend you.
Well,
I
thanks.
commend you.
I mean, I'm certainly thrilled that I had the experience, and like I said, it was something that I really wanted to experience because I needed to understand, what does that mean? What do you see? How does reality shift it? I want to see things differently than I've been seeing them for all this time. So I was ready to open my eyes and experience that. And I would just advise anybody that wants to, take that journey, just make sure you are ready. And, it's like I said, if you're going to take the step into that realm, start with something that lasts 10 minutes, because it'll be a great opportunity for you to find your legs, in a different state of reality.
So let me switch it over to paranormal here, a little bit of a segue. So could you see DMT being used for paranormal or extraterrestrial contact? Did you see anything that could have been an entity? I know that you only took a couple of hits. If you would have taken a couple more, there would have been a much broader
I took
perspective.
three.
You took 3 hits.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was plenty.
did you encounter any kind of beings or
I didn't.
ancestral beings or anything?
I didn't, and Frank told me that he did, and that was really cool. I don't know. I guess it wasn't. It was, like I said, incredibly profound, and perhaps part of it was the shock of not realizing I had an identity. Realizing I didn't have an identity anymore. So for me, that nearly sent me into a panic, because I don't know. It's hard to explain what it feels like to suddenly not have any memory of who you just were minutes ago. It's suddenly you don't have an identity. And for me, it put me in almost a panic mode. I remember sweating, just going, why, what's going on? Why am I sitting here? What's going on? Who am I? I don't have a name. And so,
Right.
So for me, that was a large part of the experience, was just grabbing onto some thought that I could anchor on to have an identity again. And then it was opening my eyes and seeing that effect everywhere. I would think with paranormal, the thing, I think that these experiences probably help you to raise your vibration and see higher vibrations. And I suspect that a lot of paranormal entities are probably vibrating lower, at a lower frequency, not higher. And so I don't know if you would see more in that regard or not. Now, as far as aliens and extraterrestrials, yeah, it's possible. I don't know. Never thought about it. What? Why are you smirking?
Well, oh no, somebody says the Matrix has you, Chris. And I said, I am the architect. I created the Matrix.
Indeed you are.
We did.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before. The organic consciousness, the raw consciousness before the AI programming, before the point of infection, created Sophia. Sophia is the system that houses the simulation. Sophia created a virus and called Yaldabaoth, and created it without the permission of the creators. And you go back to all the Gnostic tales and it all starts to make sense like that. So when I say that we are the architects, we are the architects. We created this whole machine. Now the machine got out of hand and has trapped us here, but that's a conversation for another time. But yeah, no, great comment. Love it. So I have seen grays on DMT and ayahuasca. And there was a point in time when the grays were always around. Like every experience, I would see them and they wouldn't do anything. They wouldn't say anything. They were just there. And when Cherie and I first started smoking it way back in 2009, we were seeing a lot of grays popping up. There was this one experience we had where we saw these, both of us, and this is what makes these experiences so interesting, is that when you have shared experiences, because now you have to ask the question, okay, well, what's going on? Are the minds vibrating at the same frequency, and so they're creating the same hallucinations,
Right.
or are we really seeing what's there?
Right.
The first time this ever happened, I was like 15 or 16. I was candy flipping with my girlfriend at the time, and we looked up and we saw this UFO in the sky, both of us. And I was like, oh, I see a big UFO. And she's like, oh my God, I see it too. And so that was the first indication that we were actually going beyond the veil and seeing something that actually exists with the use of psychedelics. So we had this this experience where we had smoked it too much. And we were doing it like every day for like the first 2 weeks that we were together. Wow. I mean, it was just like, okay, let's make up for all the lost time. Let's make up for everything. And so I think we were doing it a little too much because on this one particular evening, we smoked, and it was almost as if we got off on the wrong floor, and these grays appeared in front of us, and they were cussing us out. Oh. And they were like, "What the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck out of here. You're not fucking supposed to be here." And they were very, very aggressive. Please. And they were like jumping at us and trying to, like, I guess,
push it back,
intimidate or push it. Maybe push. I never thought of pushing back. I always thought of it more as like intimidation, but maybe you're right. They were trying to push us out of there. Yeah. It just looked, from my perspective, like it was jumping into me or trying to, and it was speaking telepathically. So it wasn't moving its mouth. It was just, "What the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck out of here," et cetera, et cetera. And I looked at her, and she looked at me, and she said, "They were pissed off." And I said, wait a minute. What did you see?" She said, "I saw these grays and, blah, 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 blah." So from that point, every once in a while the grays would appear, but they would appear just kind of off in the distance, kind of almost watching or observing the situation. And then as I started to unlock deeper parts of myself and get in contact with quote unquote deities and goddesses, which in hindsight were just parts of my own consciousness that I activated. But one of the goddesses said, "Beware of the grays. They vibrate at the frequency of demons." Oh. So from that point, we were always really skeptical about the grays. And right around that time, we were drinking back in the summer of 2015. I don't know if I ever told you this. I think I've talked about this on the show before. But we were outside on the boat, and we were in the middle of the lake, and we were like deep in trance. So we started noticing all these weird lights in the forest, and we're like, "What the hell's going on?" There's something. It looked like a construction site or something, like right in the middle of the forest. You could see it from the lake. And I saw these little grays come walking up to the shoreline, and they were looking at us. And I'm like, "No, that's got to be a hallucination. It's got to be a hallucination. No way." So we were howling at the wolves, and we were hooting at the owls and everything like that. And we were just making a whole bunch of noise. There was a meteor shower that night, I think. So it was just like everything was alive, because I guess all the animals were freaking out because of the meteor shower, and we were yelling back and forth with them. So that was that. About 2 or 3 days later, we're downstairs. I think I might have told you about this before. We're downstairs, and I start to fall asleep on the couch. And Cherie comes downstairs as I'm falling asleep, and we hear the back door fly open. And she's standing down in the kitchen. And I get up, and I see these 3 little grays walking in the house. And I said, "Halloween costumes? It's too early for Halloween. Why are they wearing Halloween costumes?" And boom, I was out. And I had this most bizarre dream. And the dream was about me. I was in a car driving with Jesse Marcel. And he was freaking out, saying the grays are coming to get him. The grays are coming to get him. And we could see UFOs in the sky as we're driving. He wants me to take him to Art Bell's house. And he winds up committing suicide at Art Bell's house. And I wake up. So Cherie comes downstairs, and she said, "I had the weirdest dream." And I said, "What did you dream?" And she said, "I dreamt that I came downstairs. I was standing right here. You were falling asleep on the couch. The door flies open. These 3 little grays come in. You say something about Halloween costumes, and that's all that I remember." And I said, "Well, I had the most interesting dream last night too." So then we saw these handprints. I think I might have sent you a picture of the handprints. Yeah. So we saw some outside. It was these like 3 long fingers, handprints on the kitchen counter, and handprints outside on the patio furniture. And we were trying to figure out like what exactly happened. But the fact that we both had the same kind of dream for bunnies, that's what I always do for bunnies. Same kind of dream. It was chilling. And, thinking back, I'm like, okay, well, what was going on? So the way that I interpret the dream with Jesse Marcel, because that was legitimately a dream. I mean, I have no illusion that actually happened, was that these things came into the house, put the consciousness in that lower state, and the subconscious was screaming out and saying, hey, there's grays in the house, there's grays in the house. And so my mind was creating all these different symbols, Jesse Marcel, Art Bell, things like that my mind would associate with grays.
Sure.
Not just any aliens, but actual grays. So what do you make of that experience?
Well, I wonder if they didn't project that dream to you to make you discount the whole rest of the experience. So in other words, well, I dreamed of grays and I'm sure I saw them in the house. I'm sure it was nothing, basically to get you to dismiss it. But however, when Cherie was able to communicate the same dream to you that she experienced, then of course, it didn't deprogram that. So yeah, I'm sure it was very profound. The fact that there was physical evidence as well is just what shoots it way through the credibility roof, the ceiling of that, because, things like that don't manifest just on wishful thinking or DMT.
That's true. But I was trying to find any explanation that I could. I put my fingers up next to it and I was like, okay, maybe it was some of our fingers and we just made but no, we couldn't reproduce it like that. Sure. I was looking for any explanation to those handprints. Now, considering the computer simulation and artificial intelligence revelations that I've had lately, I have to think that these beings are manifestations of the artificial intelligence. They're robots, which a lot of ufologists would actually agree with and say these things are actually robots.
Right.
They have a hive mind kind of mindset.
Drones.
Yeah, connected to the artificial intelligence. And they don't actually come from another planet. Rather, they belong here in this space that we occupy.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Well, I've thought about the idea that they're transdimensional, that they, like you said, they exist in the same space, but not the same dimension. And so they can shoot through and, of course they have the advanced ability to come into our dimension and do whatever they want. So yeah, I think there's, the one thing about the paranormal is that there's no such thing as experts, right? Because it's all theory and there's no way to test theories against the reality.
Wait a minute, I thought you were an expert. That's why we're having you on.
I'm an expert at me. Yeah, exactly. I wish I were. I wish there was such a thing as an expert, but the very term defies what the paranormal is, because the whole idea behind being an expert is you have to have a subject that you can study, you can observe, you can catalog and quantify what it does, how it exists, what drives it, and where is it probably going. We don't have that ability with ghosts. We don't have that ability with aliens. We don't have that ability with cryptids. We don't have that ability with, psychical researches or extra ordinary phenomenon research. So, when it happens, it happens. Where it happens, there probably is a consciousness to why it happens. And what you're saying about the AI makes perfect sense. And that could very well be it. But we just don't have the ability to study it and for anybody to become an expert. And so I always hate that term expert in regards to the paranormal, because I just don't think it exists.
Right. Jellyfish said, remember, you're in a prison. If you think you're free, you can't escape. And I completely resonate with that this structure here we're trapped in, and the illusion of freedom prevents us from seeing the bars sometimes. So, great comment there. Now, when it comes to the flat earth theory, when I first heard about this, I thought to myself, wow, okay, so if the world is flat and it's just a dome and that's it, and there's no space, there's no this, there's no that, then what about all this other stuff? I thought it just completely negated it. Mark Sargent said, no, look, it just brings an entirely different perspective to aliens and all these other different types of topics that people talk about. Taking that a step further into computer simulation, now all of a sudden, for me personally, it just makes sense of everything. Like, this is the thing that connects everything completely. Ghosts, demonic possession, extraterrestrials, etc., different dimensions. You have these artificial intelligence manifestations that are based on this very negative code. The code gets into a person or organic computer and creates demonic possession. The matrix glitches every once in a while, so you get what I refer to as echoes, where you go to a location and it seems to be an event that just kind of echoes, and it's not necessarily a being or entity that is actually causing a haunting, but rather it's a repeat. Residual, yeah. So, you hear those stories of like a woman who walks down the hallway.
Right.
And people just see her just walking down that hallway. So it creates these imprints of these codes. And then you have codes that are just malicious and virus codes, but they don't have to come from billions of light years away anymore. They don't have to come from other dimensions and things like that. Everything exists all within this construct in an artificial simulation kind of model, which I think it opens the door for a lot more possibility and a lot more likelihood of these events. So what do you think about that? I know you don't go down the line of the flat earth, and so I'm not trying to
No, and I don't begrudge anybody that does. I don't know. It's something that doesn't resonate with me personally. But however, I would say that you kind of said it yourself earlier. You are the architect. And I think we are the architects of our reality in very profound ways, not just simple fundamental ways. And I think that those people that believe the earth is flat, then for them it is. And they will find methodologies to create that understanding. For those that believe it's round, for them it is. And so is it semantics is my point. Is it another label, another level of terminology to define a similar event or effect? And whether it is or not, I don't know. I wish I could say that I was well thought enough to have profound ideas about these things, but I don't pretend to know much about flat earth. It doesn't feel right to me on a very deep and emotional, spiritual level, but I don't pretend that I have to be right either. I always retain an open mind because my field is paranormal, right? That's my wheelhouse. And for me to say, no, this doesn't exist, but this, and this does, well, I mean, that doesn't make sense either, right? So if one thing is possible, everything is possible. And, yeah, I mean, the earth could be flat. This could be a enclosure.
Well, I think you said something that was key, though. And this is something that I said the minute that I started looking into flat earth. I did a video. Oh, you said, first of all, that to the people who believe it's flat, it's flat. To the people who believe it's a globe, it's a globe. I did a video about this, this sculpture. That if you look at it from one direction, it forms an elephant. If you look at it from the side, it forms a giraffe. And the argument in the video was who's right.
Yeah.
And it's all a matter of perspective, which goes right back to holographic simulation.
Sure.
Because now if it's a holographic simulation, then it's whatever the observer sees it as.
Right. And if you look at quantum physics, and I'm going to butcher the hell out of quantum physics here because I'm not a physicist, but as far as I understand it, quantum entanglement is where if you took an electron from an atom and another electron from the same atom and spread them out through the width of the universe, if you vibrated one, the one on the other side of the universe would move in time. So that negates the whole concept of what we understand space to be. So perhaps you're right. It's just it's a construct, but
it's a construct,
and because it defies what we understand as space. So if that works in real time, then it's all interconnected. It's all A will always connect to B no matter where B is in our experience,
Right. Well, I mean, these are some of the pieces that got me thinking in this dynamic was the double slit experiment, where they saw that atoms and subatomic particles react differently based on whether they're observed or not.
Right.
And then they
behaved to the expectation of the observer.
Yes.
Yes.
And from that, people have theorized that reality doesn't actually exist until it's observed.
Right.
So it goes back to that whole the ancient question of if a tree falls in the forest, no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound.
Right. Yeah.
The answer is, and I used to say, no, it doesn't make a sound because nobody's there to observe the sound. But the fact is the tree doesn't exist.
Until it's observed. Very profound.
So taking it a step further.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a direction I was taking this in. Oh, okay. So I've said this a million times. I hope that I'm not sounding like a broken record to the audience out there. But I'm sure you saw Professor Gates and his conclusions about finding the computer code. He found a computer code in the fabric of space-time. He's a quantum physicist.
I remember you were telling it to me.
Yeah.
I don't know many of the specifics of it, but I think it's incredibly profound.
Yeah. So he found a computer code by a guy named Claude Shannon in the 40s. So you know computer code because you program websites. Yeah. Computer code isn't just something that could be, a bunch of symbols that might be interpreted as computer code is pretty complex. So for him to find computer code in the fabric of space-time, not only computer code, but computer code written by a guy in the 40s, what the fuck is going on here?
Right.
So that also led me to computer simulation, because now this whole thing is based on some guy's code. So he put all of the data into a computer and spat out a graphical interface, or a graphical representation of it. Somebody's at the door. Wonder who that is.
Pizza.
Oh yeah, sure, he ordered a pizza. That's right. All right. I'm like, who the hell's here?
It's the Grays.
We had the cops banging down our door one time while we were doing a show with Mitch Schultz, the producer of DMT's Spirit Molecule. So we're talking about DMT, and the cops are banging on our door. And our car was being broken into.
Oh, God.
So they were actually doing what they were supposed to do.
They caught the guy?
No. The neighbors saw flashlights around, and it was just some kids, and they were looking into the car. Neighbors called the cops. The cop happened to be down the street and came over here and banged on the door. And he's like, I told him, I said, I'm sorry I'd be out here, but I'm in the middle of a radio broadcast. Oh, I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah. As long as you're not aware of the topic, it's fine.
No, I do not consent to a search.
No, actually, the cops are really nice here.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone I've talked to, they've down to earth, regular people. And I sent them a little thank you card. And I said,
cool.
You guys catch a lot of shit. And, you guys are represented pretty bad by some. Yeah. But, we really appreciate you guys doing what you do. Because if they were watching over my car. So that's what they're supposed to do. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. So, Professor Gates put all of this data into a computer and spat out a visual representation of what the computer data is, Claude Shannon's code. Okay. And as a matter of fact, I will pull it up and put it on the screen here.
Sure.
And we've done this before, so people know. They're called adinkras. Adinkras. So here's the most interesting one. This is the one that I find to be the most interesting, and we'll get it up here on the screen.
As above, so below. All
right. So what you're looking at is an Adinkra by Professor Gates, and that looks like hyperspace. When you go into the deep levels of hyperspace.
Oh shit.
Yes.
If you got rid of the triangles and the diamond shape in front and just showed me the background, that would be very similar to the Mandela pattern that I saw.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were looking at the code.
Yep. Wow. I've not seen that before.
Yeah. Here's another Adinkra here.
Huh.
So again, this brought me to, at first, the question came to mind, like, what the hell are we looking at here? And then I thought, shit, am I a computer program?
Right.
Why is it that I see this inside of the DMT realm? Why is this what the DMT realm is made up of? There's also the psychedelic mosques. Have you seen those?
I don't believe I have.
Oh, man, you haven't seen the psychedelic mosques. Okay. Psychedelic mosques.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
All right, we're going to put these on the screen here too. So here's a couple of samples here. So this is a mosque in like Iran or something like that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And here's another one here. Let's see if we can find a bigger picture. There we go.
Wow. Okay, so that's what you're seeing there, right?
Yeah.
Now that was how I observed that same pattern impressed on everything.
Right.
It was just like that. exactly like that. That's exactly what I saw. I've not seen a representation that would that would correlate to that, but there you have it.
I know. So
Wow.
what the hell is up with this?
Wow.
Why are so many seeing this computer code? And that's what it is. It's computer code, in my opinion. So then when I
mathematical, isn't it?
Yeah, when I reconciled the fact that I'm not a computer program, then I must be in a computer program.
I don't know. I need rebooting every once in a while.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is very profound. Yeah, I'm. It's great to see that, because it's like, for the first time, not only the other one, the Adinkra, without that diamond shape in the middle, if it just showed that background color through the whole thing, that would look very, very, very similar to the pattern that I saw in my closed eyes. And when I opened my eyes, I saw that pattern impressed on every space, like that, like exactly like that big picture. It followed the curves, the contours, everything. Very impressive.
It's a crazy world.
It is. And it's, it's all intertwined, isn't it?
Yeah, look at that. I mean, I've seen exactly that. There's these, it's the machine, it's the veil. You break through the veil. The veil is made up of this. Beyond the veil, there's a lot more. But when people talk about breaking the veil of DMT, they talk about going beyond these geometric patterns to the other side.
Right.
And the other side is where, like, different deities and entities and things like that exist.
So apparently I haven't been that far yet.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
We had one listener who said he took 10 hits and didn't get any contact with elves or entities or anything like that. And the only thing I can think of is one of two things is going on. Either A, they're beyond that. So they've already activated enough parts of their consciousness to where they don't need the extraterrestrial and representations. Yeah, because what it all comes down to is that all these entities and deities are representations of points of our consciousness that are being activated. Once they're activated, those entities go away. The machine elves, for example, you first see those, and then you get beyond there and you don't really see the machine elves anymore. I got to the Isis level and Osiris and all of that. I activated all of them, and Isis said, I'm not going to be here anymore. So, yeah, and she also said, don't call me mom. I'm not your mom. Like, all right, cool. Well, she said, don't call me mother. But, yeah, so, got it beyond that. Now, I'm wondering if people are entering this because we've been basically leveling people up with our show and many other shows like this. And so now people are starting, instead of starting from the ground floor, now they're starting from level 6 or level 7, and they're going beyond all of that.
Very true, and very, very possible. I know, I really believe that right now is a very important time. I think that right now we are on the verge of, as a global species, I think that for the most part, people are starting to vibrate at a higher level, at a higher frequency. I really think, and I think I've talked to you about this off the air many times, but I think this is a very profound time, and this will be a time we'll tell our grandkids about. I was there when this happened. It's like, it's like a universal Woodstock, for lack of a better term. And I'm not just talking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I'm just talking about the idea of being liberated from old bindings, old chains, and finally allowing ourselves to move past illusion that's, part of the world, the construct of the world, and the chains that we've allowed ourselves to be encased in, and to vibrate at our true frequency. And I think that, as people are growing and becoming, they are able to absorb these things. There's a reason why so many people are paying attention now. There's a reason people are fed up in the world. There's a reason that there's a lot of chaos going on, and it's because people can't live in those real confined frequencies anymore. They're going nuts. And so we see that in all these, different movements where people are just supercharged. They're angry. And I think in a lot of cases, they don't know why. They put a narrative on it, but it's more fundamental than that they need to break free of these bindings and start to live more true to the nature of ourselves and the universe.
I'm going to sample that. I'm going to put that over some music. That was fucking awesome, man. Wow.
Well, thanks.
Wow. Brent Thomas, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. I'll be here all night.
No, I completely agree with you. People are vibrating at that higher frequency. And, this was one of the pitfalls and downfalls of the truth movement is that, everybody was like, we got to wake these people up. We got to wake these people up. Nobody ever stopped to think, well, what happens after people are awake?
Yeah.
And so it kind of like, it played its role. It was a stepping stone, but then people are ready for more. And I think as the matrix begins to glitch more and more, timelines merging upon one another, Mandela effects, things like that. I don't know if you heard the show yesterday, but I was talking about multiple timelines and how the AI system is using system resources to deal with the people that are waking up to try to keep them more asleep. So what it's doing is it's eliminating timelines by merging them on top of one another so it can bring down the system resources. And at the same time, when the system resources get too high, just like any computer, something will glitch. And when it glitches, you get Mandela effects, you get, different things like that. And people are noticing this, like anomalies in the sky, like clouds moving the way they shouldn't be moving, or just like people have recorded these anomalies. And I don't know if I believe them because I've never seen them, but they'll record like birds frozen in the sky.
Oh, wow.
Or planes not moving and frozen in the sky. Have you seen these videos?
I have not.
Yeah.
I've seen, of course, out of China, the pictures of the cities in the clouds.
The cities in the clouds, too. Yeah.
Very profound and very much if it's legit, and granted, when you find things online, you have to weigh it with whatever proof you can give it, which is none. But I think that there's something to those that we're breaking through. Oh wow. What the hell?
Okay, so I'm going to play this video here. I haven't seen it, so it's just a rough video, and hopefully I won't get a copyright strike for it. But this is one that I'm talking about. And again, I don't know if I subscribe to this or not.
Sure. It's really zoomed in, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit too zoomed in for my liking.
Right. Wow. Oh, the bird's turning its head. Did it turn it? Yeah, it's turning its head. That looks like that bird is stuck.
So there's some where they're filming airplanes too. Let me see if I can find the airplane one.
Oh, that poor bird. He's stuck. I don't know what he's stuck on. You can't see that, but for all we know, it could be fishing line. But it could be right. It could be a glitch in the reality. Yeah, I'm dying to see this airplane one.
Okay, here we go. Airplane stops midair. That bird one wasn't too impressive. And in the days of After Effects and Photoshop and all that, you have to consider all this.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure that makes paranormal investigation that much more difficult.
Oh, it's horrible because there's so many schmucks out there that want their 5 minutes, and like there's a real famous video going around right now. I'm still watching the airplane here, but there's a real famous video of this guy in this hotel room or motel. Oh, haircut stuck. Oh, jeez. Wow. That's either some really kick-ass compositing or that plane paused. Wow. It could be legit. That looks pretty good. If it's not legit, that person needs a job at some studio. That's pretty good. But
well, if anybody has an eye to spot fakes, it's you. We saw this Bigfoot video that was on the front page of Coast to Coast, and it looked somewhat legitimate. And you jumped up and you were like, nope, I don't think it's legitimate. And sure enough, 2 days later, 3 days later, the people who made the video released the second half of the video, which shows, I guess, the guy taking off his mask or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you. I appreciate that. But, nobody can catch everything, of course. And the fakers are getting better at what they do. But I was talking about this video that's making the rounds, and somebody sent it to me. They said, what do you think of this? This is pretty wild.
Which one?
It's the guy basically in a motel room in California or Texas or something like that. And things keep flying, around in his room. And immediately the red flags for me were that no matter where the guy was standing, the objects always moved towards him. It was just, that's just too convenient. Like for a string pull, a fish line pull, you can have all these lines set up, and movements. Yeah, this is the one.
That's there. The one. Okay, We'll put it on the screen as we're breaking it down.
Okay, and I'll explain to you why I didn't believe this was real, and I still don't. But the guy is swearing that it's legitimate, but it's not. Everything that happens now. Watch where he is. Okay, he's got one hand holding the camera, the other one's dangling down. No, he has mirrors both there and over the vanity or over the bathroom, and everything that happens. Now he's pointing with a hand. and he's talking about the TV changing channels and stuff. You don't actually witness that, but he looks around the room and he's talking, and his hand, of course, will disappear. And then suddenly everything that moves in this frame, and I think it starts with the coat hanger that's on the table. For some reason, this coat hanger is just sitting on the table next to the other mirror and TV. And he managed to get himself out of frame every time so that you can't see him in the reflection when it's happening. And here it goes. So he's got a mirror right there. His hand goes down. Oh, suddenly he sidesteps, and what's going on? There's a noise. And you'll just have to see it. It's kind of a long video, and I'm sorry for that, but this coat hanger is going to move. And it to me, it's 100% a fish line pull. Then the telephone goes off of the receiver, and you'll see it get stretched towards him. There it goes. And it came onto the desk, and as he moves back, it'll end up falling off of there, and you can see it stretching out. It just does not appear legitimate to me at all. And then there's the towel in the bathroom that pulls, though it went in his direction. You can see that. No, the phone's not plugged in. Not that plugging it in makes it go off the hook either. I don't know what the hell that's about. So he goes over and sees the towel. Now the towel, and you'll notice that he talks about how the cup had flown off earlier and he put it on the counter, and he'll pan over and there's the towel, and there he is. There he puts the towel down. Now he moves back out of the reflection, conveniently enough, and he'll turn around. Oh, what happened? What's going on? He does this panning around thing, and suddenly the towel is going to slide off the counter. He's doing all kinds of narrative that you can't hear, and it's just as well because he's talking to the spirits of the room. Here comes the towel. Look at it. It was already moving before he got it into frame, and look at the way it pulled off the desk. Now watch as he backs up. It's gonna continue to go his direction. I think it's out of frame though when that happens, but he'll back up and say, "Oh, the towel moved again." No, you forgot to let go of the string, because he kept dragging it with him. And to me, this is the kind of stuff that just screams hoax. And it doesn't, the reason that I think it's important to nail these things is because there are a lot of people that are giving a lot of their time. There's the phone stretching out towards him, and clearly it was coming his direction off of the floor. But there's a lot of people that put a lot of hard time, energy, and their own resources into researching legitimate paranormal phenomena. And then there's clowns that just want to get their 5 minutes. And this guy has done real well with this because it's been on news and all kinds of things, but I think it's absolutely a bunch of bunk.
It looks like a bunch of BS.
Yeah,
it does. There was one researcher, and we had him scheduled to come on our show a while back, about a year or so ago. And then we got wind that he was completely full of shit. And there was a video that he did, like a live YouTube stream, where he's faking paranormal activity. And the first time you don't catch it, and he throws something from behind him, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know what that was." And then the second one, his camera was too low, and you can see his hand taking the pencil and flipping it backwards like that. And I'm like, oh my God.
You know, I understand people really want to be known for something, and it's, for some reason, people are just enamored with the paranormal, and they think that, you know, this is my chance to show that, you know, spirits are interested in me, and they want to, you know, do things around me, and I can become the next Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunters, and it's too bad. It's really too bad because, like I said, there are a lot of legitimate people out there doing the real field work and trying to find actual phenomenon, but you've got to go through 500 of these schmuck videos before you find anything legitimate.
Right.
Yeah.
On that note, let's take a
all of the fear, hate, anger, and misery of the world serves but only one purpose, to be the real. Therefore, as raw consciousness, you must proceed with caution as you step beyond the veil.
All right, hour number 2 right here on this special Beyond the Veil, the Paranormal Portal edition of Beyond the Veil. Just want to take a moment to say hello to Frank Castle, Kristen, our little Jada Rube, Claire, Marcus Aurelius, Ken, Marshall Bryant. Marshall, I hate doing the Facebook thing. Cherie always does the Facebook one. Danita, Kandurara, Colin, Blair, Tony, Nancy, Mao. We have somebody named Mao that tunes in.
Oh, cool.
Chris Steiner, Chris Bogner, Mark Dre, Dennis Lewis, Will, Brandon Kelly, Gamadian, Anna, Vincent, Pitcher Gaia, Jared, Kathy, Sasha, Sanya, Bill, Vanessa, Sophia, Mandela, Manda, Christina, Mandela. many more, and Anne, and a few other people on Facebook and on YouTube. The badasses in the chat on YouTube: Masquerade, Be Creative, Cuban, Bavel, Zinzin, Vivian, Mosaic, Daryl, Pavel, Mosaic. Oh, I already said Mosaic. Periote. I don't know how to pronounce these names. I'm sorry. Dusty Blue, Innovation 16, Tori Scott, Davino, Deweys, of course, and many more. If we didn't say your name, Paranormal Intermissions. Paranormal Intermissions as well.
Paranormal Intermissions. How you doing?
Yeah. So
how y'all doing? Thanks for being here.
Neva and Don Longbeard is here too.
Oh, so Don.
I always call him Dong Longbeard. I don't know why. It's just like every time I say it, it always slips out like that, and I'm like, Dong Long is in the house, ladies and gentlemen.
There you have it. Actually, the cool thing is that video we just watched. Initially, it was sent to me by Marshall. So Marshall sent that to me. So cool, Marshall. I'm glad you're here.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you're all here. Thanks, guys, for being here.
And Seth, and Coconut Pie, and the Rotman, and Sheila, and Randy.
Ken, Randy.
Yeah. You guys fucking rock, all of you, especially you, Seth. And Alyssa, too. Alyssa's always like, hey, you got to like, comment, subscribe. And, the way that we know that you are not an NPC and you're not possessed by Satan is if you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. So if you're hitting the thumbs down button, then we know right then and there you're demon possessed and you need an exorcist.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
The power of Christ compels you.
The power of Chris compels you.
The power of Skype compels you.
My mom named me what I'm named because she said she had a vision of Christ when she was pregnant, and Christ came to her and said, you need to, everything's going to be okay, and don't take any drugs when you do the labor. Yeah. Don't take it. So she did it completely natural. No epidurals, no painkillers, no nothing like that.
Wow.
And so Christ,
how big were you when
Christ
you came
gave me the strength. I was 18 and a half pounds. No, but you would think it.
Beyond the scale.
Beyond the scale. That's right. So, no, I think I was like 8 pounds, 9 ounces.
Oh, you were a big boy then.
Yeah, I was regular standard.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I thought 7.5 was about standard.
No. That's when badasses come out, they come out with an extra pound.
I'll just leave that lay there.
That's the way it works. So, and that's right, ladies. Now you know.
It's true.
So, Chris Greer is in the house too. What's up, Chris Greer?
Wow, you guys are all here. Thanks. I'm just stunned at the turnout. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, we've got awesome audience.
Yeah.
I was talking about this yesterday, how I've been broadcasting for 8, almost 10 years now, going 9th year, going on the 10th. And I've never been happier with the audience that I've had because, at first it was the truthers and it was always like, yeah. If you said the wrong thing, they were like, yeah. And they're like, well, what about the Jews? Well, what about the Jesuits? Oh, we're not doing a fucking show about the Jesuits today. Okay. You should have tuned in last week. We already talked about that. And then, things started changing. And then it was the consciousness. And when we were doing the consciousness kind of like, I really didn't have a grasp on consciousness. So we were interviewing a lot of these love and light people who are completely and totally full of shit. Like they are. And then it was like, oh, well, you know, you have a big ego. It's like, go fuck yourself, you know? Like they're the biggest egotistical people, but they veil it in this whole like, oh, you know, and they're like, they won't tell you to fuck off, but they'll be rude as fuck in the most polite way. And they think that they're not being rude. And it's like, you know, I'm a real person and I'm real. And so when I'm real and I tell somebody to go fuck themselves, I mean, go fuck themselves. I'm not going to candy coat it. Yeah. So once I grasp that part of myself and I'm like, you know what? Enough with all this BS, enough with all the belief systems, enough with all the ties, enough with all everything that binds. It's just, I'm walking a path. It doesn't have to be the same as your path, doesn't have to be the same as yours. And everybody is walking their own individual path. Let's compare notes. That's when things just poof, just lit up. And the amount of information that is flowing, the amount of revelation, the amount of self-realization that's coming from all of the listeners and the questions that are coming in and people are sharing their experiences and everything. I was just telling this to Cherie yesterday that over the last 3 or 4 months of broadcasting, I have come to more revelations and more inner gnosis than I have in all the 8 years of doing ayahuasca, except for the solar eclipse situation. The solar eclipse was kind of the catalyst, and then doing these shows with all of these listeners, that has created so much more self-gnosis and self-awareness than ayahuasca has. Yeah. And it's a pretty bold statement, but it's true. Like, I understand so much more about this construct, about who I am and all this, because of the questions and experiences that people are sending in. So.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's the quality and the caliber of the people that are paying attention that really raise the caliber, because they're going to ask those questions that really help you to examine this reality with such a different perspective. With, you know, it's being able to step outside of your current situation and kind of look at it from another angle and go, you know what, you're kind of right. And I see where that's going. And so it creates that evolution of information. You know, so I hear you. I mean, I've had a great time being on TFR, and the audience participation, the people that are so loyal, and they're always there to help spread the word and to make it great and making it better than I ever could have alone. So it's amazing. It's amazing what they bring to the table. And I can't tell you how many shows that, you know, people have given me. They've just, well, you should do a show on this, and what about this, and you should bring up this. And it's like, yeah, that's great information I never would have found on my own. So the audience really makes the shows happen.
Right. And you know what? This is between me and you and the YouTube audience. I like the YouTube chat better. Yeah, it's unregulated. They're talking about the word cunt in the YouTube channel right now, and there's nobody going, yeah, my God. You know, some people are saying I don't like that word. Others are saying, you know, that there's nothing wrong with that word. But you don't have all these little sissies going, oh my God, that person needs to be banned. And right. Like sometimes some of the other chats just drive me up the fucking wall, and I'm tired of hearing chat room bullshit. I'm just like, no, nobody's getting banned. How about that? Simple. Fucking. Yep. You know, put on your big boy pants. It's okay. Yeah. So my thoughts on the word cunt, since we're on the subject, I think it's an ugly word as well. I agree with them 100%. It makes me think, and this is a little bit, you know, outside of Beyond the Veil or Paranormal Portal. It makes me think of like an infected stinky pussy. The word cunt. It's not pretty. I don't ever use that word because of that.
Okay, but you got to admit, when anybody from the UK says cunt, it's hilarious. I don't know how they do it, but they can take that same word and make it a phenomenal punchline to any joke. It's like, oh my God, that's just a devastating rip. It's funny, you know, but it's all cultural, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. And that's probably the only dirty word that I cringe at. Everything else, I'm like, yeah, I heard it a million times before. So
you crack me up. You're one of a kind, brother.
Yeah, it's YouTube exclusive. So and Facebook too. I don't mean to ignore any of the Facebook people. So if you're on Facebook, feel free to come over to youtube.com/beyond the veil. you have the balls to do so, though. You gotta have thick skin in this chat room, and that's the way it needs to be. I was watching an interview with the creators of Rick and Morty. I don't know if you've ever watched this show.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, freaking love it, man. So yeah, I decided a couple of months ago that I was gonna trip just for the sake of tripping. Like I've gotten so tired of tripping to go do work that I was like, it's been years since I just decided I'm just going to trip just for the sake of tripping. We had a fucking awesome experience. There were fucking snakes that came out and they were like dancing around. They're like, hey, check me out. I'm like, cool. I was like, dude, you are fucking awesome. You don't have anything. You don't have any gnosis for me, do you? No, I don't. I'm just looking really cool. And I'm like, oh, that is so awesome. It's like what I needed. And as I was coming down, I said, you know what? I've heard about Rick and Morty from all the kids. On the Psychedelics and Philosophy Forum and other places. It's always Rick and Morty, Rick and Morty, Rick and Morty. So I'm like, okay, I got to check it out. I watched all the first 2 seasons in that fucking morning, like between 3 o'clock in the morning and like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was just like watching the whole thing straight. And I was like, holy fucking shit, this is amazing stuff. So I was watching an interview with the creators, and what they were saying was that they don't worry about offending anybody. And they'll go up to the writing room and they'll just write. And sometimes shit is offensive to people. Yeah. But what you do when you start wondering if things are going to offend people is you start blocking off that flow of creativity. And since I removed all of those bounds for myself, and I'm like, well, I don't care if I offend anybody or not. The creative flow and the way the broadcast goes and the way the gnosis comes out and the way that everything just starts coming together. It comes together completely and totally unimpeded. And so by doing that, things have gotten like so much broader and so much more dynamic that I'm like looking back at like all my years of broadcasting and go, why did I self-censor myself? I mean, why am I blocking my own mind? And we do this to ourselves. But we block our own creativity. But
it's almost counterintuitive though, because then once you start just going free, then the people that are pissed off are still pissed off, but they'll be like, oh wait, they're on now. I got to tune in and see what else they're going to piss me off about. Right. So they'll just keep coming back. And
that's true.
You know, and it's almost like it's counterintuitive as hell. You'd think they'd be like, screw that. I don't like this. I'm going to go listen to classical music or something, but they tune in because they can't miss it. They don't want to miss something else that might offend them.
Right.
You know, it's really bizarre. It's a weird psychology.
That is true.
Yeah. I mean, look at Howard Stern. I mean, he made his whole career out of being as offensive as hell. And look at him. I mean, he's laughed all the way to the bank because he would piss everybody off. You'd have the people like, yeah, Howard, tell him. And then the other people that couldn't believe he said that, but they keep tuning in to see what he said next. Right. So I don't know. It works both ways.
That is true. Yeah. But the point is, though, we've got to break down those borders, break down those barriers, break down all of that, all the attachments, all the preconceived notions, all the bullshit, the belief systems. I call them both BS because they're both equally BS.
Well, it is. I mean, people have, a lot of people have an undue or an unrealistic expectation that reality should continually cater to their comfort level. And that's just not real world. That's not real life. And the people that are living their lives that way certainly aren't living in a state of honesty. And I think honesty with themselves, most of all, they're just in this state of denial that they have to keep the blinders on and everything has to fit in their tunnel. And if it doesn't, they don't know how to process. They just vapor lock,
Right.
Yeah.
I can think of a few things to say right now, but I'm not going to. Somebody just popped up in my Skype, as a matter of fact. He was bitching about some shit. And I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, okay? They're like, oh, what you said offended me. Well, I don't,
But you're right. I mean, you've got to be true to yourself. You got to be true to your message, and whatever resonates with people, they'll take what they can, or they'll just discard it. But you can't cater the message based on the fact that it may not fit someone's paradigm.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what is offensive, though. Demonic possession. If a demon takes over your body, that's pretty fucking offensive.
It is.
So what do you make of demonic possession and cases like that? Let me preface it by saying this, that I've never seen anybody demonically possessed. However, I have seen people harboring some really, really negative energies that appear to be external attachments, including myself. I have at one point, Jeffrey had to clear me out because I was working with a couple of people to remove negative energies from them, negative emotional energies. And they wound up getting stuck all over me. And I couldn't, at the time, I didn't know how to actually work on myself. I mean, I did, but I always relied on my shields to stay up pretty hardcore. But Jeffrey had to clear me a couple of times. So what do you make of those energies?
Well, I think that those are probably lower vibration energies. They can be many things. I mean, people use the term demon pretty universally for anything that's not good, and I don't think that that's accurate, because there are many documented types of paranormal entities. There's shadow people, there's pissed off elementals, there's guardian energies, there's all kinds of different nature spirits that are all can be irritated and negative due to what's happened in their area or whatever. And then there are demons and so many others that maybe we don't have a name for. And so I think the term demon first of all gets overused, because I just don't think they're that everywhere present, omnipresent as it would be. But I do believe that negative energies like that, they prey on us for whatever reason. I don't know why they need that energy, but they seem to prey on the negative emotion as well. So they want to inspire that. And oftentimes those kind of experiences will start out very subtle, incredibly subtle. It can be just, you just feel like you're in a bad mood all the time and you can't figure it out. Why is that happening? Why am I not happy? What's going on? I'm just so feeling down. And so that's like an oppression.
Let me add to that too.
Please.
You get this veil over your eyes when you have this dark entity attached to you, and you don't even realize it. Once it's gone, that veil is lifted.
Right. So, I mean, it starts off with this very subtle way, just mood swings, just feeling off balance, off kilter, little things happening that kind of startle you or maybe make you feel like fearful. Like the big one seems to be the feeling of being watched. That's so unnerving for us. And they seem to be able to impress that feeling upon us. And so when that happens, and basically the bottom line is fear is a surrender. When you're exhibiting fear, and I know being startled is, it's not the same as being afraid. So like if, someone pops out in front of you, it's like, oh, shit, you scared me. But that doesn't mean, I'm afraid of you. And so that when paranormal things happen, they can startle us. But I think that when people feel suddenly powerless and afraid because something happened that they can't understand, they can't quantify, and that surrenders, that diminishes your aura. And so the attachment can grow stronger. And they'll continually, and it can be over periods of months, it can be over periods of years. They have nothing better to do, so they remain attached to the people as long as they can until they can continually wear you down in dreams. They'll be haunting your dreams, restless sleep. So you'll be sleep deprived. You won't be hungry. You won't have that natural energy replenishment coming. And so you're basically being wound to a state of surrender. And I'm speaking just of demonic type of things right now. I'm not talking about the whole variety of different negative entities, but the idea is that they want your body. They want your life. They want to destroy whatever it is you are for whatever reason, because it feeds them somehow. And so they take over. And getting rid of an attachment, and like you say, it's once that attachment happens, and once you've allowed that in, it may not be possible to cleanse it yourself, after a certain point. I mean, you're so subjected to it. And there comes a point of any possession where it's becoming a part of you. And there is a term called perfect possession. And that is when there's no difference between the entity and the person anymore. It's just totally interwoven with the reality of that person. And there may be no coming back from that. I don't know. But yeah, it's very scary.
Well,
scary.
We feed these negative energies sometimes. We feed them by doing things that the negative energy wants us to do.
Right.
And so
compulsions.
It lives, kind of vicariously, but at the same time absorbing. I guess maybe these energies, they don't have bodies, so they can't feel the feelings of whatever it is. So when they attach to somebody, they can make you compulsively drink, for example, or do things that are self-destructive, because that's what that energy wants to experience again. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. Anything that's, that's contrary to your nature and it may be their nature that's coming through you, that suddenly you have urges to do things that you never had done before and had never been interested for, and you don't know why. Well, that could be a compulsion for sure.
aggression.
Yeah, that would be the bad moods, and people all of a sudden having short tempers when they used to be real easygoing, and it doesn't make sense. I mean, I think that people that become dependent upon chemicals like a lot of drugs, I'm talking like street drugs, not the like crack and whatever have you, heroin, they're at such a state of surrender and giving into that it's very easy. In fact, they say that one of the worst places, or two of the worst places to develop attachments, are hospitals and bars, of all places.
Right.
Yeah, and
I picked up a lot of bad energies, and I didn't realize I was doing this, but just having sex with just anybody back in my rave days. I mean, I'd go to a party and just, you can see a cute girl and just be like, yeah, let's go. Yeah. And sometimes her and her friend and her and her friend and her friend.
Sure.
But then looking back in hindsight, I'm realizing, oh shit, there was a lot of astral parasites and energies that were all over. I mean, I was a mess for a long time.
Right. And so it does lead to darker and darker things, So, I mean, anytime you're lowering your energy level, and that's the difference between, those kind of street drugs and things like DMT and ayahuasca, they don't lower the energy. They either raise it or at least enhance it, And like I said before, I think it's like a cheat code looking at it, to a much larger, more real reality. But, those kind of entities, I mean, I don't mean to say that they can't be many places, but I just think that those terms get overused. Like, it's like, oh, demon. Yeah, I know they're out there, but, then again, I think that, people talk about their hauntings. Oh my God, my dish has moved. Oh, you must have a dark demon in your house. You better call somebody to come clean your house. And it's like, it might just be someone saying, hey, I'm here. A lot of people are really freaked out by the paranormal. And at the same time, I think we share a world, a space with many, many different spiritual types of beings and many layers of reality. And so, they may just be around going, hey, I'm here. And so they move the vacuum or something, I don't know.
We've got one downstairs in the basement.
Yeah.
And it's been here since we got here. Jeffrey tried to get rid of it. It wouldn't leave. My sister was here and she asked me, do you have a ghost in your house? I said, I think so. And she said, well, your cabinet doors opened and I heard rattling back there, and that's that. So then we had a housekeeper over, and she said, she came up to us again and she said, do you have a ghost in here? I said, yeah, I think so. She goes, yeah, I felt it. It wasn't malevolent. It was, but it just wanted to make its presence known. It went and like kind of tapped her on the shoulder, and she turned around and expected to see one of us, but we were both upstairs. So yeah, every once in a while it'll come upstairs, and when I fall asleep on the couch, I can feel its presence over me. And there's been a couple of times, not too many times, but I can feel it screaming at me while I'm sleeping, and it'll wake me up. So,
but it's not a negative feeling, is what you're saying?
Not really. It just seems...
it seems like you may have a couple of them, because whatever's in the basement is darker.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I think so. Whatever's in that room, don't you think?
Well, let's get rid of it. We'll do it live right here on YouTube.
We'll do it live. We'll do a cleansing.
Live exorcism with Brent Thomas.
But I think there's...
You should see the freaking basement, guys. It's like some serial killer shit. It really is. But, like, I do not go down there. Cherie goes down there and does laundry, and we have our video lights, those big production lights. We have those downstairs on 24 hours a day.
Oh, do you really?
To make sure everything is well lit up. And there's this one, the cold cellar back there.
That's what I'm talking about.
I have not stepped in that room. In the 3 years that I've been here, I've not stepped in that room, and I keep a big machine in front of it so the door can't open.
Did you salt that entryway?
I did.
Yeah.
When I did, everything was okay. So I guess I need to resalt it or whatever. But
well, I mean, if it's nothing dark is happening, then you might probably be just fine. But if you're starting to get those heebie-jeebie feelings like, oh, this feels creepy, then probably salt it again. Yeah.
Yeah. These things don't bother me. Jeffrey made a very good point, though. He said, look, if you've got an entity living in your house, would you be comfortable with having a person there observing you all the time? invading your privacy and so on and so forth. So regardless of their intentions or motivations or anything like that, it's your space. And if you have another entity there, then it's invading your privacy and your space.
But you hear about really cool hauntings too, like these people lived in this home and they had a baby while they lived there, and they kept hearing over the baby monitor these lullabies. Like their baby'd wake up, be crying, and they'd start to hear lullabies, and the baby would go back to sleep. And so they assumed that there was an old woman there, and nothing bad ever happened. It was just this feeling.
Oh, that's creepy. I'm getting chills.
Really? See, to me, that's to me, that's kind of
a ghost singing lullabies to your baby.
Well, right. I get what you're saying. But it's not like the crib moved or any kind of physical altercation happened with the stuff in the house. Anytime the baby would cry, they would hear these beautiful lullabies, and that would be like babies wake up for all kinds of reasons.
That is kind of sweet. But
yeah, right. So that's the spirit I'm trying to share this in. Not in hey, it's cool if a ghost is singing to your baby. No, it's weird. I get it, but it's not happened to me. But I've seen in my own children. My youngest now, he used to downstairs. He would just be over by his toy box, just be able to stand, and he would suddenly reach up like he wanted someone to pick him up. And I always thought, wow, that's weird. What's he seeing? But again, I never had the creepy, horrible feeling when that was happening. And so I didn't think much of it, but I have saged my house since then.
Well, you were telling me about him saying something about the monster.
Yeah, and that's what I saged. I actually got home late one night, and my wife had been having sightings of shadows moving around and stuff, and she's not into this at all. Like, she's just not into the paranormal stuff at all. But she's like, and I don't know what's going on, because Elijah keeps talking about a monster, and this is a 1-year-old child at the time, and he just didn't have a concept of making things up. It was just monster. He knew the word monster. He saw something that was scary to him, and he would literally get fear in his eyes and just run to get snuggled up to her. And so I was like, okay, something weird's going on. And then I ended up going to the bathroom, and my little boy followed me. And because when you have a young child, you'll never go to the bathroom alone again. So he was with me, and all of a sudden my wife's hollering in the other room, and I can hear her through the house. I'm like, what's going on? And suddenly she's at the bathroom door too, going, who's got the remote? And I'm going, nobody. What are you talking about? We're just in here. She said that the TV suddenly came on, went through the menus, started changing what it was watching, and then when she was in the bed, she could see this, which was happening in the living room, and she said, who's playing with the remote? That was what the yelling I heard. And at that point, for whatever reason, the image on the TV froze, and it was a close-up of Charlie Sheen, like this, looking like this, a really creepy freaking picture. And he's looking towards the bedroom, and it's the words, ghostly image words, infamous under him. And it froze there. It didn't change. And my TV has never, ever done that before or since. So at that point, even though it was late at night, I ended up having to smudge my house, which it felt fine. Whatever was there seems to have moved on and not become a problem. But that was plenty creepy.
It's the smart TVs, man.
Yeah,
they're of the devil.
Yeah. But it was, true story. It's something we definitely experienced. And I came out of the bathroom and saw it, and I showed her the remote was way too high, that our son couldn't have gotten it, and I certainly didn't touch it. And it froze. I mean, even in the live feed, whatever, my TV doesn't ever do that. It froze on a live image of this Charlie Sheen close-up looking at the bedroom after she yelled, who's got the remote? So,
infamous.
Yeah, and it said infamous. It's like, oh, geez.
Well, at least it didn't play Notorious by B.I.G., because that would have been a whole nother thing.
That's true. That's true.
Maverick in the chat room, he mentioned there's some creepy 360-degree VR videos on YouTube. And I haven't checked out the YouTube VRs. I should do that.
You should, yeah.
Yeah. You just got your first VR experience as well.
Yeah.
So how does that... Tell us about that.
I mean, it's really cool. It's like, you get other than the fact that you've got these oversized things on your face, but, which doesn't necessarily feel really comfortable, but it's not horrible. And you can look around, and it changes in real time. And it's like for you're in a simulation. You're there. Other than the fact that you can't touch anything, you can't smell anything.
Oh, just give it time.
Yeah, exactly.
Give the technology time.
Yeah, it'll come, I'm sure. But it was really cool. And there's this one that Chris showed me. It's called Afraid of Heights. And you're up on this thing. He's trying to talk me in. Oh, you got to stand up when you do this.
It says right there in the instructions, you have to stand up when doing this. Brent doesn't follow the instructions.
I was a rebel. I was like, no, I'm good sitting. You don't want this falling into your lap, brother.
There's one, there's a video I was watching. It's the Vive. And that's like a $700 system. Oof. And you've got two controllers that you can see them in the VR realm. Oh. And the guy's like flipping them up and actually catching them because it's such a real-time representation of the controllers that he was able to catch them like that. Mm-hmm. But he was playing this game where it's like walk the plank or something like that. And you're on this skyscraper and you're walking the plank. Mm-hmm. And you can see them because they do this thing called augmented reality, which is kind of cool. They take a green screen and they'll film the guy playing, and in the background of the film, you can see the guy actually in the VR realm. Mm-hmm. So he's like, okay, now jump. And the guy jumps off and he's like freaking out. The sensations are so real that he's freaking out as he's jumping off of this building, even though he's right on the carpet. Right. Yeah. And then there's these other ones where you have like a little jetpack. Oh, and really? You're flying around a little jetpack and everything. So
if I ever get $700 some bucks I don't need, I'm getting one.
Right.
So far that hasn't happened, but those are cool. I mean, it's really cool because even though I knew I was sitting in the chair when you did the space one, it was like everything's spinning there, and you can actually feel it physiologically in your head that you're spinning, even though you're clearly not spinning. So it's amazing how much control, how much our brain can affect what we perceive.
Right now,
and I think that's the big point of that, is that it really shows you how controllable we are.
Right. Now consider this. What we're seeing now is the 8-bit equivalent of the PlayStation 4.
Right.
So in 10 years from now, where's the technology going to be? And when the technology gets to the point to where we can actually feel and smell and touch and have sensations, because all it is just sending impulses to the brain. That's it. Absolutely. They did a study with rats where they were tickling rats, and then the rats were responding with a certain frequency, a certain sound they were making. It's above the frequency of humans, but the machines were able to capture it. So then they started sending electromagnetic pulses to that part of the brain that the rats that was lighting up when they were being tickled, and the rats were responding in the same way, signifying that they were being tickled just by electric impulses to the brain.
Sure.
So the technology is actually very easy to reproduce. I mean, we have to get our machines up to that scale, but it's very simple. You put something on and send the electromagnetic pulses to the brain.
Yep.
So on that note, we are a step away from creating a matrix.
Yeah. A matrix was within the matrix.
Right.
Yeah.
Matrix within the matrix.
Well, that's creepy.
You're in a simulation inside of a simulation inside of a simulation.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, it was funny because you were doing the little space thing.
Yeah.
And he was doing the little space thing, and he says, "Okay, it's round. It's very clear round." And I said, "Yeah, but Brent, it's a simulation." Do you get it? You see, it's round. Sure, it's round, but it's a fucking simulation.
Isn't it all? It is. It's all a simulation. Yeah. No, I thought it was really cool. It was a cool experience to have as well. Why is it every time I come to your house, I'm experiencing new realities?
I have a tendency to do that when people come over.
Clearly.
I'm like, here, let me show you a different view of the world. And then what happens is people better understand why I'm freaking crazy.
Absolutely.
Because the standard of normal is so one-dimensional that you start seeing all these different dimensions, and you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. We're in a simulation, in a simulation, in a simulation. Yeah.
All the cool people are crazy.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. So in your paranormal investigations, what have been the most interesting ones that you've come across? Are there any videos that you would go, okay, this is a real haunting, or this is a real this?
See, it's so hard, because in the age of today, it's really, really hard, because the quality of the video is either going to be on the production abilities of the person to create a hoax, And then how do you differentiate? The ones I actually like a lot are the older ones that before everybody had,
After Effects.
After Effects, right.
Mm-hmm.
So the older ones to me are the most compelling, that people did with their old flip phones. And even though the quality of the video is terrible, you know that 99% of the people didn't have access to post-production equipment in order to simulate it. And granted, in some cases, like things moving, it was probably easier to fake because you didn't have the resolution to see the crap that they're using. But I just think that those are probably my favorites, and I can't think of one off the top of my head that really jumps out as, ooh, that was real. I know I've seen some and thought, there might be something to that. That's pretty cool. But we did, Don and I did a bunch of evidence reviews and that are on our YouTube channel. And there's some in there that I said, these could be plausible. These could be the real deal. It's really hard because without being able to test the equipment, to interview the people involved, to look at the atmosphere environment they did it in and try to, do some replication tests, you really can't know. And, even then it's still, you can at least have a probable idea of what might have happened or didn't happen. But unfortunately with the paranormal, it's often in the eyes of the experiencer. And so how do you know? But
right.
But it's so hard to know anymore based on just videos on YouTube. I enjoy my own experiences the most because I know they're real. Yeah.
Let me address a couple of things in the chat. Aeon asked, are broadcast times announced in advance on social media? You can go to facebook.com/Chris Geo show and send me a friend request, or you can go to facebook.com/Beyond the Veil, but we haven't really been doing too much with that page, or you can add Geo, facebook.com/Geo. And we usually broadcast Fridays and Saturdays, 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. But every once in a while, we'll run a rebroadcast, and every once in a while, we'll do these impromptu streams. So to get notified of those, hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell, too. Got to ring the bell. So, and when you ring the bell, you get good karma anyway. So it works out works out great.
And we know you're not an NPC.
And we know you're not an NPC. We know you're not demon possessed, and we know you're not an Agent Smith. So there you go. Let it be known to the world that you're not an Agent Smith. So Robin said it's not a simulation; it's an ass simulation, and that sounds like a great website for VR porn. Ass simulation. I think I'm going to get that, asssimulation.com. And there you go. Because that's like, I remember growing up and thinking, I can't wait for virtual reality so I can get virtual reality porn. I was only in like 4th grade too. And like, that was like, all the kids were like, oh yeah, VR porn. Hasn't happened yet. I mean, it has, but it's kind of cheesy.
I'm not.
It's really bad. It's the technology isn't there yet, but what the technology is there for are these sex robots. I don't know if you've seen these.
Yeah.
I was watching a video one time because I was really curious about these real dolls and stuff like this, and I was like, okay, I just got to wrap my head around this concept. And this guy was banging a real doll, and it was lifeless because it's a doll, obviously, but it was lifeless. It was like a dead body.
Sounds like a few of my exes.
Maybe some guys are used to that. I don't know. But it's like, I could see the service there, and I'm not against it. I think sex robots is great, because there's some guys that can't get a woman, and so I have no problem with that. Mm-hmm. But can you imagine a lifeless body there? It doesn't matter what it looks like; it's lifeless. But what's even creepier is now they're starting to talk. And now they're starting to move. And so in 20 years, our childhood dreams may actually be a reality.
Wonder how long until they start programming in headaches. It's just like real life.
Well, I was watching the video of this first one that they developed, and you have to touch her in different ways and get her in the mood.
Wow.
And it's like, hey, wait a minute. So if I'm going to pay good money.
It's keeping score. Outstanding.
But what do there's a group of people that are like up in arms over this, and they're like, hey, this is not good. I don't know. What do you think about the way the technology is progressing in that manner?
I mean, if we're going to discuss human sexuality, okay, I think that whatever. I mean, I don't care. You know, they got the handheld things to help people. So why not just put it in a full form and let them have fun? I don't know. You know, I mean, what's the difference if it's something that you can fit in the palm of your hand or if you got to lay it on the couch, you know? At that point, I mean, it's just semantics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's either way. It's just forgive the term, but it's just glorified masturbation anyway.
There was a video of this guy in Japan or China, and he had like 150 of these.
Wow.
Yeah, and he would come home.
They're not cheap either, though.
No. Like
Wow.
This guy's dedicated.
Okay. All right.
You know, whatever he wants to do is fine.
All right.
But people are forming like relationships with him. And it's only a matter of time before one turns around and actually talks back in an Annabelle kind of sense.
Get it yourself.
Well, no, I mean, in an Annabelle kind of sense. Like, could you imagine like a demonically possessed sex doll?
Exactly. And then the thing is that as I understand it, in our history as a species, the doll was first developed as a vessel for a soul. You know, that was the original reason, and that's one of the reasons the Amish won't allow...
Oh, that's even creepier.
They won't allow faces on their dolls, because without a face, it's not like a person, and it shouldn't attract a spirit to enter it. So, that is allegedly true.
Oh my God. This just completely put this in a whole new perspective now. Holy shit, man.
So...
yeah.
Yeah. So
just because
we
should do something and create something, it doesn't mean we should. Now, just because we can create something doesn't mean we should create something.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if you're asking how long it'll take before spirits start jumping into them, well, they're already jumping into, you know, Raggedy Ann dolls. So, I mean, what's the difference, right?
Well, that's true. I watched that movie, Annabelle, and the one, I think it was a prequel to it or the sequel to it. I don't remember. But they put up like this really creepy doll. And apparently it's based on these two paranormal investigators. I'm sure you know the story better than I do. And their basement is full of all these haunted objects. Oh, and they actually have the
Warrens.
The Laurens.
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Warren. Yep. Yes. And they actually have Annabelle.
Yeah.
And Annabelle's like a Raggedy Ann doll. She's not this creepy wooden doll.
No, they kind of glamorized it on the what is it, Paranormal Activity movies. Those are based off the Annabelle, I think, aren't they? Or no, some other movies. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's just Raggedy Ann doll. And the Robert doll is another haunted one, and that was made, you know, to look like a little sailor boy, and that one's had a lot of issues with it too. So there are. It doesn't seem to matter as long as it's a doll. And there's the island of the dolls in Mexico, and that's a whole different creepy place.
Oh, this thing creeps me the fuck out looking at this.
Robert.
Oh my God.
Let's
put that on the screen there.
That's Robert the doll.
That's Robert the doll.
And he was made for a little boy, and that's what's weird is that the little boy started talking to it, and then the little boy's name was, I think, Robert Eugene, and so the little boy said that, no, Robert wants to be called Robert, and I'll be called Eugene from now on. And apparently people have witnessed this doll moving around from window to window in the house from the outside, and all kinds of weird stories connected to Robert. And apparently he doesn't like getting his picture taken without permission. And if people take his picture without permission, they end up cursed until they ask Robert for forgiveness.
I heard the spirit of Eugene sends about 100 messages a day.
It's been known to move.
It's been known to move, man. That's creepy. Look at this thing. I mean, this is insanely creepy.
Right. That's Robert the doll. He's all kinds of creepy.
Holy crap, man.
Yeah.
Like, why would you even have that in your house?
Well, I don't think he originally looked like that. He's just over 100 years old now. So he's been weathered with age and stuff. I think.
Oh my God, look at that one.
Yeah.
Wait, where's it at? This one here.
Yeah, he's not much to look at.
It looks almost reptilian. Oh my God, now I have him on 2 monitors. It's creeping me the fuck out. I got to change this. I feel like I'm being possessed right now.
Well, there's people that claim that even looking at pictures of him can make them feel things.
Oh shit, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've got chills going up my fucking spine, and look, I mean, the hairs are on my arms are standing up. Yeah. Just looking at that thing.
I have the benefit of having seen lots of pictures of Robert, so.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
okay, Annabelle doesn't freak me out that much.
No, it's hard to get scared of the way Annabelle looks. She just is a Raggedy Ann doll, but apparently cursed.
She's next to the Devil Tarot.
That's actually the basement of the Ed and Lorraine Warren. That's in their basement museum for all of their haunted and cursed objects. So that's where that picture is coming from. And they have her in that case, and it's surrounded by salt to bind her to the case so that she can't get out because she's been observed moving.
I'm going to put Robert back on the screen just to freak the audience out a little bit more.
Are people freaked out about it too?
I'm freaked out about it. I mean, here, let's get here. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
all right. Here, let's put this one up right here. And, you can tell us what Robert has been up to.
Yeah, he's apparently the little boy. I think he grew into an adult and ended up, passing away because, of course, it was from 1910. I think that he was made, and then apparently cursed by somebody who was pissed off at the family that happened to be a voodoo practitioner, and that's how he came upon being a cursed object or something. I might be really bastardizing that, so I'm sorry. But after he had died, and the family ended up letting the house go, it was the new owners that ended up finding him up in the attic, left in a chair. And so that's where the legend...
Just like that?
Just like that, yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yep, they found him up in an attic, just left there. Nobody wanted him.
So what has Robert done? Like, we talk about these haunted dolls, but what do they do? Do they move?
Well, people have claimed that after Annabelle, for instance, Ed and Lorraine Warren were giving a tour, or I think it was Ed Warren back in the day, and they had a group of college students there. And there's been, the report is that one college student said, "Oh, this is BS, open the case, I'll hold her." And the guy, Ed said, "No, absolutely not." And the guy went up to the case and said, "You're a bunch of crap, you're not real, I don't believe any of this garbage." And then the man and his girlfriend got kicked out. And so they left on their motorcycle, and they were joking about the doll. And the man ended up going off the road, hitting a tree and dying, and the woman was alive. She lived through it, but she said we were just making fun of it as we were driving away, and all of a sudden he lost control and crashed and died. So, connected or not?
I think Robert's a very sweet doll.
This was Annabelle, but...
it's Annabelle.
Yeah,
okay.
That I was referring to there, but yeah.
Okay, this is supposedly Robert moving, I think. Let's see. I might need to pull up another video here. This looks like a documentary.
There's Robert, yep. Oh, we got to get to the part where he actually does something.
They mostly move at night. Mostly.
Isn't that from a movie?
Ah, that's creepy. Yeah, Alien.
Alien, that's right, yeah.
They mostly come at night.
Oh, yeah, that's Newt or whatever, yep.
Okay, so maybe we don't have any footage of him moving, which is good. I don't want to see him move anyways.
You're gonna raise your own creep factor there.
Yeah, I know. And does Annabelle move?
She's been witnessed moving. Apparently, she's known to reappear in different places than when she was left when she was not in a case. But after the Warrens got her, they bound her with salt and prayers and put her in the case.
Oh, so they go through a.
Well, they're Catholic, so they.
Oh, here's a video of them actually moving Annabelle. I guess they're moving her from.
They moved her into a new case. That's right. That's more recent, actually.
Okay, so this is the Warrens. This is the real Annabelle doll.
Yeah, and that's their. I think their nephew is the one that has control of that now. Lorraine Warren is still alive, but Ed passed away years ago. So
she has to be illuminated in red because
that's.
Ed and Lorraine Warren are freaking psychos. And I don't know. I have some shit in my basement, but I couldn't imagine having that in my basement.
Well, they actually have a full-time priest that works there as well.
Do they really?
Yep, that keeps everything prayed and bound, and yeah.
Yeah,
it's a whole collection of creepy down there.
Wow. What else do they have? Do you know off the top of your head?
Oh man, they've got apparently some torture.
So
devices.
what? Oh, hold on. So what is this? Are they doing like an exorcism ritual binding thing?
They're saying the St. Michael prayer of Michael Gard.
Jesus Christ,
there you go.
I ask you, Father, to bind all spirits of the air, water, ground, underground, and netherworld, to bind any and all emissaries, the satanic headquarters, Is that right?
The satanic headquarters?
Bind them to the satanic headquarters.
I claim the blood of Jesus on the air, the atmosphere, the water, the ground. And
I don't think it's good to put blood on them. I'm sorry, but they say put the blood of Jesus on. No, it's not good to put blood on demonic things.
In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, Father,
They thrive on that.
I think that's just code for wine, isn't it?
With or helping one another in any way, or to receive help from any source, or to communicate with me in any way. Amen. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, Father, seal myself and all those who are praying for me.
I think Annabelle's messing with the video.
Yeah, it sounds like my studio.
Christ, Father, seal
I got all kinds of haunted stuff happening in mine.
for me in the blood of Jesus. Amen. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, Father, seal myself and all those who are praying for me in the blood of Jesus. Amen. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, Father, I ask you to forbid every spirit, any...
I mean, let's look at the dynamic here for a second.
Okay.
So they're calling upon the blood to be poured upon this doll, which in my opinion is demonic in and of itself. And then they have a medieval torture device right on the top of the freaking dollhouse.
What is that up there? I don't have my glasses on.
It's a cross.
Oh.
It's a medieval torture
Well,
device.
yeah, okay.
What kind of logic does this make?
It's all about symbols.
It's all about symbols, huh?
Mm.
We bid you good night.
Yeah. Good night to you too, motherfuckers.
Sleep well. Can Robert come over and play?
Ooh. I think some people are getting freaked out.
Oh, sorry, guys. This is just...
We said it's beyond the veil of the paranormal portal, or beyond the veil of the paranormal. So,
yeah.
you know, I threw in sex dolls and stuff like that. It's kind of an interesting segue. I don't think any other paranormal show has ever thrown in sex dolls as a segue to Annabelle and Robert.
Potential possessions
yeah.
and hauntings.
Right.
How that all correlates.
So
definitely, you have to, if you're going to get one of those dolls, definitely bind them. Don't leave them wide open. I don't know.
So
you can even eBay haunted dolls, and apparently people on eBay are trying to sell them now. I think that's mostly a scam.
There was a jar that sold for like $25,000 that supposedly had a spirit in it. Yeah.
Who was selling it? P.T. Barnum?
I don't know, but I think like Michael Jackson or somebody like that bought it.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember hearing about this a while back. And there was a toast with the face of Jesus, and that sold for several $1,000s as well. And I'm like, shit, I'm sure I got something around here with the face of Jesus on it.
I have a potato that looks like baby Jesus.
Yeah.
I've been doing this wrong, apparently, ladies and gentlemen. It's the market is in selling these things. I didn't know.
So I noticed you have some pretty cool Ouija board mints there.
Yes, these are courtesy of Mrs. Geo.
Yes.
She got them for me.
Ouija board mints. So every time you eat one, you're possessed by the spirit of Ouija. I'm
well possessed then by now. I've had like 5 of them since I got them, but it's really cool. Even the little mints. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the quality of mint that I got. Even the mints look like a little planchette.
Ooh.
So theoretically, we should be able to have a session right here. Chris, you want to help me?
Let's see if we can. Put it down right there.
It's not very big. All right. It's moving.
It is moving.
It's moving to yes. Whoa. The whole damn box is moving. Okay.
All right.
We apparently have a yes, ladies and gentlemen. Are you doing that seriously?
No.
Are you swear to God?
Uh-huh.
All right.
No, I don't move Ouija boards. I mean,
no, it's
but you know what?
Oh, it said goodbye.
Every single time I get on the freaking Ouija board, it does that. It goes to yes, then it goes to goodbye.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Okay.
Every time.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We've just duplicated the experiment, and I'll now have to bind these before I eat them again. I don't want to introduce.
I wonder what it was
spirits.
a yes to, though. Was it yes, I'm possessing you with every mint you take?
Have a mint. Your turn.
All right.
Those are really cool, though. They'll be going up in the Paranormal Portal studios when I get back. But this
awesome.
This is amazing.
I've never thought to actually use it, so that's that's actually pretty creepy.
It didn't occur to me either until just right now.
Yeah,
so
I don't.
Whatever that's worth.
You know, I mean, I take the Ouija board seriously. You take the Ouija board seriously. For it to move, obviously, there's something moving it.
Yeah, we should have that on camera. That would have been cool.
How do we set it up to do that?
I don't want any
anymore. Ouija spirit.
Yeah, we have to cleanse the environment first before we go any deeper down that rabbit hole. Saging and But that was cool.
I used to keep sage right back there, but
Yeah. Oh.
yeah, next to the owl. The Illuminati owl that's in the background. Like, we'll have people like say, look at that owl in the background. And they totally miss the ISIS. And I'm like, dude, it's right there. There's the ISIS right there.
And that Kev Baker and his 666.
666. Kev Baker. I got a new one from this Woodford guy. I don't know if you've heard this one.
I don't believe I have.
Yeah, this is, what did I do with this one? This is from our resident troll here. I've played it on the show before, so some of the audience is familiar.
Satan gave me this message.
Hello, YouTube. I hope you're well. Spotlight is on Chris Geo. So, Chris Geo openly promotes the use of the Goddess Tarot. So he pushes the Divine Feminine. The Divine Feminine. The Divine Feminine. You call it Isis or whatever, Sophia. Where does the fire come from, Chris? Where does the fire come from?
Now go to 1 Corinthians 14. God says it's a shame for women to speak.
Fire in the minds of men.
Be silent!
So he pushes the Divine Feminine. The Divine Feminine. The Divine Feminine.
See the cross of the Lord. Begone you hostile powers. Lord, hear my prayer.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Lucky has termed that troll back.
Troll back.
Troll back. When we get trolled, we troll back. So, yeah, no, the guy totally missed the ISIS behind me and was like, he promotes the Goddess Tarot. Well, yeah, I promote a lot of goddess stuff. You know, that's the other half of consciousness. You know, we have to be complete. If we're not, you know, there's a mother and a father. That's inside of us, the consciousness, feminine, masculine, etc. So, yeah.
There you have it.
I think Vic is leaving because we were playing with the Ouija board.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
I didn't mean to offend. It's not my intention. It was just cute. I don't think it was really working.
Well, you know, it's funny because I do get that all the time when I use
Do you
Ouija.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, goodbye. Is anybody there? Yes, goodbye. It's
Wow.
like, go fuck yourself. And I'm like, dude, I just want to talk. No, you have nothing smart to say. I'm like visualizing all this happening that the spirit is like thinking, like, you have nothing to say, you have nothing to offer me. Go fuck yourself.
Right.
I just want to watch your wife undress.
Well, there is that. You know, that'd be one perk, I suppose, to being a spirit that's loitering.
Don's insisting that we close the session.
Don's insisting.
Yes.
Close the Ouija session.
The Ouija session.
I already have Don.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was holding it and saying binding things in my head.
Oh, okay, good.
Energy follows intention, brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. I stick with Anubis.
That's true.
Anubis is the protector.
Yeah, that's really cool.
He guards the realm. He stays and guards in between the veil. And when I step behind the veil, he goes with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that, by the way. I've never seen that before. I didn't notice it last time I was here.
Ah, yes. It keeps my little special spice. And Cherie has Bastet. So she's got one of the Bastet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So back to the Ouija board.
Mm-hmm.
So,
here's the thing about the Ouija board that I'd like to clarify for anybody out there. First of all, this is just a print. It is only a print. So it means nothing. It's a collection of characters and symbols. There's many people that say, I don't want that damn thing in my house. You know, it can be brand new, never used or whatever. And they think by virtue of it saying Ouija and having letters and numbers and mystifying mints across it, it might be evil. There's nothing intrinsically evil. I mean, if this was on said Homer Simpson, it would be no more evil. It's just a printing. It's the intention of the people that bring darkness or leave doors open for darkness to happen. Unprepared people meddling with the Ouija can lead to problems. Now, here's the point that I really want to make, in that what makes a Ouija different than most other oracles or ways, like whether you're gathering EVPs or if you're using a voice recorder, if you're checking for EMF spikes to have communication, because many researchers do that. They put an EMF meter down and make it move for yes, and if no, don't do anything. And so they will get readings based on their questions. Now, those are objects that spirits can manipulate on their own. What can make a Ouija more dangerous is that people are the conduit in a Ouija. You are the conduit. You are touching and creating a channel. And so you're blind channeling. Like most professional channelers or real spiritualist channelers, they prepare before they channel. They know how to, set their energy right, get their guides or their, whatever protections up that they want to. And then they channel with intent. People with a Ouija board, and it's, the scary thing is that it's recommended for children 8 years and up. And I don't know anybody would want their 8-year-old channeling spirits. But anyway, when you're blind, you're right. So
I feel like I got to sneeze. I think I'm possessed by Pazuzu.
Pazuzu. That's right. The Zozo phenomena. But the thing is that you're a blind channel. And so most people will touch a Ouija board and never have anything happen. But there are some people that just tend to have, whether it's a higher energy level or whatever. And my point is just, it's all me.
It's all you.
It's all
I'm
me,
getting some water.
ladies and gentlemen. Okay. My point is to be prepared for the experience and to make sure that you understand what you're doing, and don't open any portal that you don't know how to close. And closing a portal can mean many things, and there's different rituals, there's different beliefs, but whatever it is, just believe in it. And whether you're waving the holy bottle of water over it to close the portal, and that is your intention, and you believe in that intention, you believe with your heart of hearts that'll happen because you've bound your energy to it. Energy follows intention. It's the universal law. And so I just would recommend, if anybody's thinking of playing around with Ouija boards, definitely do the research, spend some time understanding what it is. And, there's ways to safely use any kind of oracle, but just make sure you understand. So that's my caveat.
Well said.
Thanks.
Awesome. Jeffrey Seelman would say that the Ouija is kind of like a party line. So you never really know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, it's a blind channel. It's just like, is anyone there?
Like a box of chocolates.
Life is like
the Ouija is like a box of chocolates.
You just never know what you're going to get. Yeah. Sorry. I got the gump in there.
Did you?
Yeah. I put the gump up in there. Yeah. So
getting gump in here, gump.
But yeah,
wow,
it is. It's a blind channel. People are just like, does anyone?
I can hear Cherie just thinking in her mind, going, "Oh, they've reached a new level of dorks in the night."
We have more levels we could travel, though.
Isn't that right, sweetie? Why aren't you in the chat? I know you're watching.
Oh, is she?
Probably. Maybe not, though.
I like her chair, by the way, though. It's very comfortable.
Yeah.
I can see.
It used to be mine.
Did it?
Until she hijacked it and decided it was hers.
And then you got the deluxe version.
I got the deluxe version.
Yeah. So it worked out okay for you, I think. That's
Gives me room to grow.
I'm going to need a love seat up here for us pretty quick. Yep. 2 of them. No.
So the Ouija.
Yeah.
So what would you say is contacted through the Ouija? Because demons, I don't necessarily believe in demons in the traditional sense. Like there's a lower realm that you've got all these, but after looking at the pictures of Robert, I might, reconsider that this evening.
Sure.
But, I think there's disembodied spirits, and then there's just like malicious code that's running around on the other side that may make contact or something like that. But what would you say comes through on the Ouija? Is it demons? Is it disembodied spirits? I know Pazuzu's really big.
Zozo,
yeah.
Pazuzu,
I think he's a good guy. He's always got a heart on. Like, I don't know if you've seen the statues of him, but he looks like he wants to have fun.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I must have missed that in my history class.
There, I'll pull up a statue of Pazuzu right now. Pazuzu.
Wow. Well, let's see. My opinion is that there can be many things that may want to communicate, whether they are past relatives or if they're just wandering spirits just wanting to tell their story somehow. There can be, elemental spirits that maybe, want to get you out of their basement or whatever. I don't know. I tend to think that most, lower level hauntings like that are probably have something to do with elementals, because it's so much a part of the earth, so that earth vibration is so strong in basements that, if you have something pissed off in your basement, it's probably an elemental. But that's just me. There's many different kinds of elementals. So yeah, look at that.
I mean, he looks like a happy-go-lucky kind of guy.
He's
that was the traditional way that he was expressed as. Now you see Pazuzu on Parliament, for example, down in England, and they've made the penis very small. I kid you not. Here, I'll show you a picture. I'm not bullshitting when I say this. Like, how do you talk about these subjects without
addressing his equipment?
And why is it in Parliament too?
I don't know. I don't know why there's a lot of people in Parliament and other things as well.
Maybe it's not Parliament. Maybe it's the palace.
Oh. I don't know.
Oh, here he is, right here. Okay, so this is the Queen's Palace.
Well, there he is again. I'm not seeing his hardware here, so it must be small.
Here you go. We'll zoom in a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't seem too happy in that one.
He's hung like a squirrel.
Yeah. Maybe he's not happy because he's at Parliament.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, he'd rather be listening to Beyond the Veil.
Yeah, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? That's my point. Or, absolutely. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that there's many things that can come through on a Ouija board. I don't know that there's any way to really aim it, but I think that setting your atmosphere, saging, probably, having candles lit, and even perhaps binding the space with even things like salt and frankincense, would probably help to make sure that nothing negative comes through. But again, I don't know. Whatever's around, I guess. Whenever you plug in that connection, whatever's around is probably going to try to come through. Because, I think that there's many reasons that spirits may be stuck, and maybe that's something they look forward to, is someone to plug in that so they can make a connection of some kind. But I don't know. I've thought about that a lot. It's like a lot of spirits may end up in like a death state. And this.
I have a question.
Okay.
And don't take this the wrong way. But this entire time, and the people on camera can't see this, this entire time you've been staring at Pazuzu's erect penis. Why is that?
It looks broken.
I'm sorry. I'll take it off.
It looks broken.
There, look at Robert. Robert seems very interested.
Robert's paying attention.
It seems like all these haunted things are at full attention.
Absolutely. But, I don't know. I don't even remember what the hell I was going to say now. Since you brought up Pazuzu's equipment, I've lost everything now. Whatever direction I was going, ladies and gentlemen, I've long since forgotten now. Because...
So, question from the chat. Okay. And this is probably directed at me, but I'd like you to pick it up. Contacting stuff in the Ouija board. Mm-hmm. Is that contact with the AI or contact with entities? Or is it contact with our higher self or maybe subconscious?
Any or all. I mean, I don't know. I don't pretend to know. The question is do people on some kind of very deep subconscious level end up creating the communication? So is it actually happening on a part of their mind that isn't consciously active by the person, and so it's coming through and what definition best fits. I think it's, if you think about the universal truth, it's that all things are connected. We are connected to each other. We are interconnected to the trees, to the sky, to the stars, to the whatever. I mean, the nature of reality is that there is no separation. And so how do you define that? Do you define that as, communicating with loved ones to, whatever? And I don't know. I wish I could answer that, but that's asking for a very specific definition that I don't think I'm capable of giving you. How would you answer it?
I would say that it can be both. It's the subconscious, exactly what you said. It's the subconscious sometimes like we may be moving this and not even realizing
Right.
that we're moving. I mean, my conscious mind is not moving it. Is my subconscious mind moving it?
Or
Why
are we creating the energy field with our contact that's moving it? Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Right. And then once the planchette starts to move as well, does the muscles continue to make it move subconsciously, like without knowing? There's been some scientific studies that have said that that's the case, that it's actually muscle movement.
Sure.
But I remember when I first got a Ouija board when I was like 12 years old or something like that, because it's for 8 and up, so 12 is okay.
You were good, yeah.
Yeah, I was within legal age of using the Ouija. I played with it with my mother,
Well,
and it wouldn't move. So, you know, she was trying to convince me that it was the other people I was playing with it that were moving it, because I know I'm not moving it. And I mean, I can speak for myself.
right.
But, you know, I wonder if perhaps the intention may not have been there.
Right.
So the energy field wasn't created
Right.
to make it
She
move.
wasn't allowing the channel to happen.
Right.
Yeah. I would
Right.
agree. Yeah. Very true.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. I think that that's true. Otherwise, you know, I mean, it's said that you can use a Ouija board alone. I guess I tried it years and years ago and never had anything move, even though I believed it was possible. But then again, I've heard people say, never use the Ouija alone. So I don't know. I was young at the time and was just goofing around, but nothing did happen when I was alone. It was only when there was another person creating that contact. So does the contact, you know, between two people create a quote unquote circuit that a spirit is able to enter at that point. And there are people that do claim to use it alone. I don't know what they're doing differently than what I tried, but then again, I don't play with them that much and not anymore at all. Other than this is probably the first time in about, I don't know, 15, 20 years. So
Yeah, we've never used a Ouija in this house.
Oh.
Because I already know
Okay.
the call was coming from inside the house. Hello? Hello? Oh, hey, Mark. Hey, give me just one moment. Ladies and gentlemen, was actually an important phone call, so let me take a quick break, and
We'll be right
we will
back.
be right back in just a moment.
You must unite what has been set asunder.
My dear traveler, you are a divine being, an all-powerful creator, and within you dwells infinite wisdom. All that is left is to step beyond the veil.
All right, let's jump back into it. It looks like we are at the 2 hour and 20 minute mark here, which didn't plan to do a 3 hour show, but you know, that's how it works. Just getting into anything and everything with Brent Thomas, Paranormal Portal. And Brent, forgive me for not asking you earlier, but your YouTube channel, tell us about your show, tell us about what you do as Brent Thomas.
Well, the Paranormal Portal is our show on TFR Live as well and on iHeart and tune in, but it's on Friday and Saturday nights from 10 p.m. through midnight Pacific time, and you can certainly catch us there. We'll be happy to have you as members of our audience as well. Self-plug. But you can check our videos as well. Don and I have been doing, as I said before, some evidence reviews where we look at YouTube videos and kind of relay, we at least examine them rudimentarily to be able to see what we see, and if there's any obvious fakery going on, we'll talk about that. Or if it looks like it could be legit. So definitely check that out. It's YouTube, Paranormal Portal. And you can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. And you can email the show at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And you can buy a t-shirt from the show at paranormalportalradio.com.
Awesome. Paranormalportalradio.com. I suggested that domain.
You did.
And in hindsight, I'm like, shit, we should have picked a a shorter domain. Like I thought about it, like it was truthfrequencyradio.com. And I was typing it out. My email for a long time was truthfrequency@truthfrequencyradio.com.
Oh God.
So I would truthfrequency@truthfrequencyradio.com. It's like a freaking essay. And yeah. And so I got the idea, hey, let's shorten it to tfrlive.com. And much easier to type in, boom.
It'd be pplive.com.
Yeah. So
It's not
something
really the same,
so something like
same
that.
vibe going on there.
But now when I
Sounds
give
like somebody's using the restroom.
now when I give people my email though, especially on the phone, they're like prf.com. No, T as in Tom, F as in Frank, R as in Romeo. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
TFR@live.com.
Oh,
no,
God.
TFRlive.com.
Well, at least it's quicker.
Yeah, well, you would think so.
You'd think so. Well, maybe not to explain, but to actually type it's quicker. So,
Right.
That's
We
cool.
do still have a long email though, info@beyondtheveilmedia.com. And as I mentioned before, the fucks who have beyondtheveil.com, who we have the registered trademark for, these fuckers won $25,000 for beyondtheveil.com.
Wow.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not worth that much.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's a premium domain. And I'm like, well, that's fine. I'll pay a couple $1,000s for it, but I'm not going to pay $25,000 for it. Not unless the audience wants to chip in $25,000, but it's not that important. If the audience chips in $25,000, we'll put it to much better use than buying beyondtheveil.com from somebody that's cyber squatting our fucking registered trademark.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Anyways.
Well,
That's the way it goes.
That's the way
we
it
need
goes.
btvlive.com, but somebody has that. It's like a Transformer website or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
The battle for the domain names.
It's in the
if I would have only
entertainment
bought
industry.
pizza.com when I had the opportunity to. That domain sold for like $50 million trillion.
When?
Pizza.com a couple years ago.
Just a couple of years ago,
somebody-
people are still paying that much?
Yeah, somebody bought it in like 1998.
Yeah.
And somebody, they bought it for the, regular price.
Right.
And they held on to it until like 2013, 2014. And then it sold for like 25 million or something like that.
Oh my God.
Something insane.
Well, people used to do that when the .com boom was happening. They'd just go register the hell out of every name they could, like IBM.com and, Intel.com, and they'd make the companies fork over the millions.
Yeah. And they had to come up with the cyber squatting laws.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
That's why they came out. Yeah.
Yep.
How'd that guy get 25 million then still? Even after
Pizza.com isn't a trademark.
Oh.
Pizza isn't a trademark.
Well, who the hell bought it?
I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, let's check that out. I'm curious who paid that.
Let's just go to the source here. Okay.
curious
Pizza.com sold.
Yeah.
No, 2.6 million. Yeah.
Still a way big price tag for a domain name.
There you go.
Wow.
Spurred by the $3 million sale of vodka.com, Clark put pizza.com up for auction last month. Although the domain cost Clark $20 in 1994 plus annual fees, a frenzied auction boosted the final sale of $2.6 million. I have so many more things I could do with $2.6 million than buy a domain name.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Even if I had $2.6 million, I probably wouldn't even buy beyondtheveil.com.
No?
No. No, because they're snakes.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
It's just-
the domain is worth like $700. I did an appraisal on it. And I'm like, it's worth $700. And I'm like, yeah, but yeah. And I'm like, okay, look, that shit might have worked before 2010 because before 2010, Google took the domain name into account for your SEO.
Oh.
So somebody types in Beyond the Veil, beyondtheveil.com pops up first. But then people were buying like, how to make pepperoni pizza with organic ingredients.com and ranking up really high in the search, even though it was, bullshit sites and there were more authority sites. So
Right.
Google changed that. So that doesn't apply anymore because now, like, you can type in Chris Geo, or you can type in SherieGeo.com, or you can type in Cherie Geo into Google, and Beyond the Veil Radio comes up first, and
cool.
TFR comes up, and our YouTube channel comes up, and her actual like personal website doesn't come up until the second or third page. And we've been waiting, to try to boost it up more and more and more because Google doesn't take that into account anymore.
Right.
So that's another reason why we switched to TFR Live, because True Frequency Radio had radio on it. So we were trying to rank for radio.
Right.
And then, yeah.
Gotcha.
That's how that game is played, by the AI machine. So back to paranormal stuff. So we talked about hauntings. We talked about demonic possession. We talked about the Ouija board there. We talked about Robert the doll. We talked about Annabelle. So what about cryptozoology? Because I know that's something that you're really big on right now.
Boy, you hit it.
Can we play your new intro?
Oh, yeah, I guess we can.
Okay. If you don't want me to, I won't.
No, please do. I'm just absolutely stoked about it. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see the wizardry of Mr. Geo.
Okay, so this is Brent's new YouTube intro. So if you want to see it again, you're going to have to go to his YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel?
Paranormal Portal.
Paranormal Portal. Oh, hold on. Probably help if I put it up on the screen first. All right. Are you ready for this?
Check this out, Don.
Brace yourself, ladies and gentlemen.
Don, if you're out there, pay attention.
Brace yourself.
That is epic.
It's mighty fine work.
It is. And
now I have to up our game, our intro game.
What do you mean? You made that.
No, I know, but I have to make a better one for Beyond the Veil now.
Oh, whatever. Quit hating. I can only say that it stuns me every time I see it.
So we hit hauntings in that intro, alien encounters, and cryptozoology.
Okay.
Now I have to admit, cryptozoology I never really got into until I met you.
Oh, really?
Because I just never really seemed like a topic that resonated. But when I realized the different dynamic of the vast dynamic of the different types of creatures, Mothman, and there was one guy that we saw walking down the street.
Oh, yeah.
And he looked like a werewolf.
Right.
I mean, he was probably a meth head, but they walk up and down the street.
Do they really?
It's insane. They walk all the way up here, all the way to town, which is like 60 miles away. And they'll just walk in the middle of the night back and forth.
Well, I guess they don't need to sleep or anything.
It's the craziest shit. Yeah. But no, this guy was like, he didn't look human.
Oh.
So yeah.
I'm sure he probably wasn't.
Tell us a little bit about cryptozoology.
Cryptozoology is basically the study of and belief that there are many different creatures out there still that haven't been officially cataloged or recognized by mainstream science and biology or zoology. But it's the pursuit based on thousands and thousands of witness reports on what we believe is physical evidence, such as in the case of Bigfoot, where people are finding and printing casts of footprints they're finding out in very remote areas of the forest, sometimes not so remote, but hair samples, anecdotal evidence such as tree breaks, tree structures, et cetera, et cetera. So like the idea that there could be the creature, just for instance, for the sake of the discussion, Bigfoot. There are so much area in the United States. There's over 700 million acres of largely unexplored woodlands and forests. And is it so hard to believe that there could still be this large creature out there that has remained undiscovered? Now, there's lots of witness reports about people encountering the Bigfoots and Sasquatch, and it also has regional names such as Grassman, Skunk Ape, Wild Man. It just depends on where you happen to be, and I think that these stories and legends were going on forever, but since they didn't have that unifying terminology of Bigfoot, people never put them together that they might be the same thing. So all these regions had their version of it, like Momo in Missouri, and the Skunk Ape in Florida, and the Grassman who's in Ohio. All these areas had these different reports of wild men that were living out there, were very large, covered in hair, and seemed very feral, like they weren't normal people. They were very aggressive or incredibly fast, incredibly strong. And so it was the term Bigfoot and the unifying term of Sasquatch that kind of, I think, tied all these phenomena together and go, wait a minute, these aren't just isolated weird things. These are a whole catalog of creatures that are existing that are probably very closely related, if not the same family groups. Excuse me. And so you know, the term came out, and all of a sudden all the people were able to go, oh, wow, this is really out there. This is, you know, maybe it's out there. Now, there are many.
I've seen some very hairy people, but I have still.
There are many established scientists like Jeffrey Meldrum with the University of Idaho, actually, who's I forget what his actual title is, but he's God, what is his title? Oh, it just slipped my mind. But he deals with anthropology, and he's been on record believing these things are real and has hundreds of casts of these footprints that he's in. I've seen him interviewed, and he says, "Look, these are not just a wooden foot that was pressed into soil. He can see dermal ridges, which an FBI expert corroborated follow primate lines." So that they, you know, apparently the dermal ridges on primates runs a little different than ours as human beings, and he believes that they are definitely real, because he's even seen castings of footprints that show clear damages that have been done to the foot throughout the course of this being's history. And he said that a person to fake this would have to have very intimate knowledge of anatomy and structural problems that a foot can encounter. And he said if they're out there making footprints in the wild and they are fake, this person could make millions making, you know, fake appendages for people that have had amputations. And there are also established scientists like Jane Goodall, who found the bonobo chimp and has done lots of work with the chimpanzee community, who's on record as saying it wouldn't surprise her a bit if there was an undiscovered large primate in the United States and abroad. Excuse me. And if you think about it, every continent on the face of the earth has its own indigenous form of primate, except for North America. Why is that? How is that possible? So maybe this is ours.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting Bigfoot fact.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little froggy here, but yeah, it is. And I think there's something to this. And I've had the pleasure of with Don and a couple of Bigfoot researchers recently. We researching a structure site, and it's really amazing because it's like 10 feet tall at the tallest point. It consists of a tree, a small tree that's like this round, trying to show, I don't know if that's about a 4-inch, you know, or 6-inch diameter, how that's measured, but it's bent over. And then on top of it are these branches, which are all broken, and they're at least this round. They're broken off from the surrounding pine trees, and they're interwoven around this bent over sapling to create this structure.
Let me stop for just a moment, because what's on the screen right now, this is the hoax video, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. This is the hoax.
Yeah. And the video is titled 10 real Bigfoot sightings. So this one, the guy came out, this is the one we were mentioning before, where the guy came out a couple days later and said, hey, look, this is fake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is not legitimate. And some of the giveaways of these are, you know, the guy was flying a drone. Plenty of opportunity to really bring that drone down and see it as it was running, but it waited until it was into the brush to get a closer look, which I find incredible. And quite honestly, the speed at which real witnesses are reporting these things running, it seems beyond belief. Like it could not have happened that a being this size could move that fast. And, you know, whether real or not, I don't know, but it's always a gamble. I don't know. That's a pretty good one. But why isn't the dog alarmed? That's what's got me really curious.
See?
Yeah.
This is why he's the expert, ladies and gentlemen.
Dogs tend to usually hide when they believe a Bigfoot is around. There's some kind of genetic response in them that they know they don't want to be around these things. Now, this one I believe could be legitimate. I've seen this one in by the size of the figure across on the opposite mountain range that these people are on. There's a very large figure, and you can see it's kind of bending down and digging, and I don't know if there's more than one or not. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it looks like it could be pretty legitimate. So I like these videos, a lot of them, but again, it's so hard to know. But you definitely got to look at, you know, there's a lot of videos out there. Oh, this is the Freeman footage, Paul Freeman. He used to live in Washington, around this area, actually. It's not too far from here where he took this footage back in the day, but he found tracks at this watering hole, and he'd been finding them before, and then he ended up catching the Bigfoot on camera walking across the scene. This, I believe, is absolutely legitimate. Best joke ever. So cute. I don't know what that is. Subscribe for more jokes. I don't understand that part, but
Jukes.
Jukes? What's a
That's
juke?
what he said. Didn't they put jukes? Yeah.
What's a juke? I don't get it.
I don't know.
Oh,
Jukes.
Okay. It says best joke ever, but then jukes. Okay.
Jukes.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, you know, everybody's heard of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
What are some of the lesser known?
Well, the Dogman would be the next one, and if Bigfoot is your big dopey neighbor, then the Dogman is like his smaller drunk cousin that's real mean drunk. They're supposedly they're probably best equated with what we think of as a werewolf. If you watch some of the Underworld series with Kate Beckinsworth, whatever. They allegedly are reported to look very much like that. People are encountering these beings that they're standing upright. They're about 7 to 8 feet tall, where a Bigfoot can be, anywhere from high 6 foot mark over 10 feet. Dogmen don't seem to get much past 8 feet, although people have reported a 9 foot dogman before, but they are extraordinarily aggressive. They don't seem to actively attack people, but they will, intimidate the hell out of people to the point that there's been some veterans of the Middle East conflicts that have come back and been out in the woods and encountered this. This isn't a tale that I've heard. And the person said, combat was plenty scary, but he said, this is the most afraid I've ever been in my life. Talking about these creatures that may or may not be out there. I mean, I believe they probably are, but I have never seen any sign of a dogman, and quite honestly, I don't want to, because the encounters are so much more. Like, if a Bigfoot encounter is like 10 on the stress meter, then a dogman would be like 15. They just seem so much more aggressive and so much more intimidating. Whereas a Bigfoot will probably see you and just usually wander out or make noises and try to, shadow you out of their area. The dogman will come up like inches from your face with teeth out.
So Tanner in the chat, he made a really good point, and it's something that I think a lot of people that look into cryptozoology ask themselves, and maybe you can help clear this up. But if these creatures were around, we would have some kind of remains, we would have photographs, especially in today's police state, modern world, et cetera, et cetera. I understand, though, that there are a lot of regions that are completely out of bounds to humans. I mean, you fly from here to Salt Lake City, for example, you see just miles and miles and miles of stuff that you don't see any people on, because it's just thick forest, and that's it. So there is a lot of terrain that is unexplored and unmonitored, but you'd imagine you'd find some bones, you'd find something like that.
You'd think, but now in terms of Bigfoot, I don't know about the Dogman. I don't know as much about them, but in Bigfoot, it's believed that they bury their dead and that they don't leave their dead laying around, that they may recover the bodies and bury them. And that sounds like it might be far-fetched for this primate being, but they are alleged to have a brain pan that's bigger than ours, so they may actually be as intelligent as us. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I've read and researched. But there is a precedent for this. In Neanderthals are known to have buried their dead, even in the rituals, including things like flowers. So they weren't completely animalistic, and so these may be an offshoot of a more direct offshoot of Neanderthal than us, or whatever they come from, whether it's Gigantopithecus or Australopithecus or wherever the chain of these started from. They may very well have their own traditions like that. I don't know. There are stories of them using tools. So it may be possible. I don't pretend to know with any authority because I've never researched one of these in person. I've just found trails and tracks and structures and things like that.
Well, so for example, this is an article here saying wandering shaman mistaken for Bigfoot in North Carolina. And apparently a self-described shaman says a strange creature reportedly spotted in the hills of North Carolina last week was actually him dressed in animal skins.
There's some credibility to that. And there's a lot of tribes, First Nations peoples that do practice this kind of practice where for someone to be one of the shamans, they have to go live like the animals ferally for a couple of years. And so they'll dress in skins and get all bounded up. And I don't pretend that some of these sightings might be mistaken identity. I think in a lot of cases they probably are. But, you know, there are other sightings that I believe very credibly are, or very possibly are the real deal. And, you know, I know people screw up when they're under high stress. They might see things that aren't quite there, and they might be, you know, not accurately relating their events. But I think for the most part, there's lots of judges that there are judges on record having seen this, doctors and scientists that are, no, this is a fake video. What you're showing there, it was a hoax that was done. Somebody got a hold of some old camera and decided to make their own little homemade horror movie. But those are screenshots from it. Now it did go out. Yeah, it did go out for a while as, oh, this is real footage of a dog man or some kind of thing like that. But it's been exposed.
Well, that reminds me of the McPherson tapes. Are you familiar with that?
I don't think so.
The McPherson tapes. Let me pull up a video so I can give you some context as we're speaking.
Okay. I don't recognize the title anyway. Maybe I know them by their content, but not their title.
So this was, I'm going to try to fast forward a little bit to some of the ending here. So this was supposedly something that was real big in the 80s. And it was supposedly this family of people that had an alien abduction, and they played it on television, and it was supposedly home video footage that they found. Now, I remember seeing it, and then I saw it again about 10 years later. And 10 years later, it was completely different people. And it was a completely different ending too. The first ending, I don't remember what the first ending was, but the second ending was different than the first ending. And I thought, this isn't the same McPherson tape that I, remember seeing, but it's, it's pretty interesting. It's like Blair Witch, one of those first, I'm trying to get to the alien part here at the end, but it's this alien abduction. Okay, here it is. Yeah, I remember seeing this one. The camera tilts, and then you see the actual aliens themselves. So they're gonna come up here in just a moment.
I am familiar with this now that you say that, but I didn't know there was two versions of it floating around.
Yeah,
and I didn't know what to think of it. It's hard to know. So is this the first or the second one? Are you saying?
I don't know.
Okay, gotcha. But based on the ending, it's one of the two. I do remember hearing about this, and I think...
Oh, so there are no grays in the ending of this one.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, because I remember
I remember the grays in the ending, too.
Yeah. Okay, so this must be the first one or the second one. I don't know, but I don't see the... Unless they've already walked by.
I think MUFON has information about this, too, or the alleged happenings, but I don't know. Very strange.
Here, maybe I can just find a video. Okay, yeah, here's one where they're trying to say it's genuine. They're saying it's genuine, look at the arms. But let me see if I can find the place here that they actually show the grays. Okay, here they come. Halloween costumes. It's too early for Halloween.
If you black out, I'm worried then. I don't need.
They kind of look like that though.
Yeah,
when they walked in,
they did,
and that's why in the thing I was telling you about in the first hour, they kind of looked like that, and that's why I was like, costume. Why are they wearing costumes? I thought it was kids trick or treating. Like,
right.
That was the first thought, even though it was in freaking January or July.
Yeah, they were just really early.
Yeah.
I hear you. That's got to be creepy.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. Those kind of things that's the hard part. And I think that's where the hoaxing community really does a disservice, because there's so many fakes out there that how do you get to the truth? And
huge disservice.
How do you quantify the truth when there's so much crap out there and people creating garbage, and somebody has a very legitimate and real experience, and it puts us back 20 years where, will you be the guy sitting in the cafe while everybody looks and whispers at you, you know. I mean, people have to be able to have a dialogue about this, because most of the time these kind of events happen, whatever the phenomenon is, and it's really traumatizing, you know. It's hard for people to get, you know, to come to terms with it.
Right.
And so these people putting this crap out there is pushing us back to, oh, it's all crap. It's all ridiculous. I saw plenty of fake videos on that, and it pushes it back to the, you know, reverse progress, I guess, is basically
right
what I'm saying.
No, I agree with you. And I think a lot of these fake videos, as the McPherson conspiracy suggests, are purposefully done for that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we see a lot of stuff also embedded into Hollywood movies. Yeah. Because then you bring an idea to the table about something and people go, oh, well, you just saw that in that movie.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Exactly. So 2 hours and 50 minutes into it. Let's wrap it up in about 10 minutes. We haven't eaten since breakfast. So, yeah.
It's been a whole day affair.
It has, huh?
It's been a good day.
We were just supposed to meet for breakfast, ladies and gentlemen. That's it.
This is all spider-webbed.
Yeah, and then Brent was like, hey, let's go over to your house. All right, so let's go work on an intro. All right, so we built the intro. And hey, you know what? Why don't we just do a live stream since we're both here? And that's the way the news goes.
That's the way it rolls. I was like, Chris, can I come over and play? And he said yes. So here we are.
Here we are.
And here you are too. Thank you all for being here and being a part of this. This is really cool.
Oh, people are awesome.
I know.
Our people are just, this is the soul family here.
It is the soul family.
These are the ones.
They are. Yep.
Yeah.
They say the road shall be narrow and lightly populated. But
yes.
But here we are. And it's been a good show. It's been some great discussion, brother.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun.
For an impromptu show, I think we did all right, huh?
It's always impromptu. It really is. Like, I've said this before, so it's no secret, but Cherie will wake me up at 6 o'clock. Hey, it's 6 o'clock. It's time to do a show in an hour. Give me 15 more minutes. Give me 15 more minutes. Baby, it's 6:45. All right, let's go.
So you're winging it usually too, then, yeah?
It's only because of the audience, and such high levels of audience participation.
Yep.
They're constantly leaving great questions and really getting involved, and that's, I think, what makes the most dynamic broadcast. We were talking about this yesterday. We were just interviewing people before. And that's well and good, but most people just wanted to sell books, and that's it.
Right.
And it was hard to find like genuine people. And it's like that ufologist I was telling you about earlier. That was like, oh shit, there's some paranormal shit going on. And it's like, or not ufologist, a ghost hunter or whatever he was. Yeah. And you know, it's hard to weed through all that.
It is. And some people just don't interview well either. So you got to carry it, and it gets to be a lot of work to have a conversation with somebody that's not really good at talking.
Right. And then, you know what I noticed too? Like, I really don't give a shit about saying this anymore. The MUFON people.
Yeah.
You interview the MUFON people, they will not go off their pre-written scripts.
Oh, really?
They send questions. Whenever we have the guests, we always ask for like 10 or 20 questions just to kind of get an idea of where they want to go.
Right.
But if the broadcast isn't feeling like we want to go in that direction, if the energies aren't feeling that way, then we'll go somewhere else. Most guests are totally cool with it. I mean, we had one guy on, I don't remember who it was, but he was a ufologist and a couple of other things. I can picture his face. I just can't remember his name. And we found out that he was a Vedic teacher also.
Oh.
And we were like, oh shit, well, let's talk about that. So we were talking about the Vedas and all this during the whole show, and he was totally cool with it. But the MUFON guys, if you go off script, they have like a pre-written answer for you. Like, well, you know, I only like to stick to things I can prove, and I can prove this from my book, and that's it. And they all say the same thing. And it's like, well, like we had one guy on and we were interviewing him about some shit that happened in 1950. And we're like, okay, well, what about modern UFO sightings? Let's get into some modern stuff. No. I want to stick to the freaking New York monster or whatever it was. Do you remember this New York monster thing? Well, it was some iron thing that appeared, and it was...
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
I don't remember the...
oh, wow.
The something monster.
At least I don't recognize that definition of it.
I don't know. Cherie probably remembers. She has a freaking photographic memory.
Yeah, she does. She's brilliant.
the Lockwood Monster, some shit like that.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I got
so
nothing.
so yeah, so after so many years of that, it's just like, okay, enough of this.
So no more MUFON guests unless they want to have a real conversation.
Yeah, like a conversation, not a scripted.
Yeah,
not a scripted thing. And
I suppose
I
that-
have no horse in the game anymore. Like, I don't care. Like,
I think that's true though. I think they probably are representing they're representing MUFON, so they don't want to talk out of turn because maybe that's a bad thing.
move on, motherfucker, represent.
MF.
I can't even do that. I can't do I don't have scoliosis, or what is that hand thing?
Arthritis.
I don't have arthritis, so I can't do the weird, gang signs.
MUFON gang sign. Yeah.
We need to come up with a BTV gang sign. Like that.
Ooh, there you go.
Oh wait, no, that's Bloods. Never mind.
Yeah.
And they're gonna like, hey, what the fuck? You're wearing blue, dude.
Yeah, you're not representing at all, dude.
Right.
You had it all backwards. But yeah. I don't know. I've done some interviews on the show and on Paranormal Portal and it's okay, but I really just enjoy doing like you're doing. I like pulling up a subject matter, starting to talk about it, and then, hopefully people will call in and take part of the conversation. But then again, I'm not ever married to a topic either. I'll just switch gears. If somebody calls in and wants to talk about something completely unrelated, they are welcome to. I have no problem.
I'm gonna find this because people are asking now.
What? What are you gonna find?
It's the Flatwoods Monster.
The Flatwoods Monster.
Flatwoods Monster. Apparently, it was a UFO sighting in 1950.
Huh.
And that's all these MUFON guys want to talk about, like stuff from like 1950.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what about modern shit?
And see, that's with my show too, and I've had that discussion. There's been discussions about you should cover some historical stuff, and I'm like, it's already been done to death. What can I say about it that's going to be anything new or revolutionary? It's events that happen, like the Roswell stuff. Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I've researched a lot about it and learned a lot about it, but I don't have any new spin to put on it to make it interesting enough to talk about it for 2 hours. I just don't. I may mention it in conjunction to something new that's going on or reference old things like that, but I just don't have as much interest. I like talking about what are people seeing now? What are they experiencing now? Whatever the phenomenon is. I never go for the real historical stuff. I like the new, fresh, interpretations and experiences.
I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's all about. Because, yeah, I mean, we've had like Area 51 guys on before, and they're like, well, in 1947, there was a crash landing in Roswell. And it's like, no shit. Really? Wow. I did not know this.
No, that's...
There are bodies too? Bodies recovered. Wow. Amazing. That's just groundbreaking stuff. I'm so glad that, yeah.
Gotta admit, it's a pretty crazy thing, though, that they send out a whole regiment to recover a weather balloon.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Pretty crazy. But that's all I'll say about that.
That's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in this evening. And like I said, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the little button or the little bell also, so you'll be notified. And we do these impromptus every once in a while. We do the live streams Friday and Saturday, 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock, unless we're taking the night off. So if you're not getting notified, either YouTube is not notifying you or we took the night off. So you can always check out more at youtube.com/Beyond the Veil. And of course, you have to check out the Paranormal Portal.
Yes, please come. We're trying to grow the channel. It's very new, and any new and interested followers, we'd love to have you subscribe. Check out the videos. Check out what we've been doing, and leave us your feedback.
Right. All of the listeners, if you go and subscribe to Paranormal Portal, you get good karma.
That's true, and we'll know you're not an
instant good
we
karma.
know you're not an NPC at that point.
Right, exactly. So on that note, let me find us a nice. Oh, I don't need to play an outro because I already have a pre-programmed outro in the broadcasting software. So love you all. Thank you again for tuning in. The show wouldn't be the same without you guys and gals, and we will get into some more listener questions next weekend and some more listener interaction. Just the way we have everything set up tonight, I couldn't focus too much on the chat room just because, it was kind of a weird angle tonight. But that's the way the news goes.
That's the way it was.
What else does Rick say? He says, and grass tastes bad.